Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. There's a lot of you here already. Holy smokes. This is great. Thank you, Canada. This is going to be a good one. We're going to get through the quick chat and intro because I've already checked the mic. I've already checked the video. He is doing great. He's looking great and he's in a good spirit. He's here. The man is in the building. Elvis is in the building. So we'll get to speak to him very shortly. I want to say hello to everybody. Good morning. Hey, good morning. Look how flustered I am. Good evening. Hey, Mr. Green Thumbs. Nice to see you. Honk, honk. Chat, I'll take this right now. Hey, Ellen Goat, you're first. Welcome, Ellen. There was a big lineup here. There's a whole bunch of people here before I showed up at the studio, and you guys have just fulfilled my entire thing. So first warning, I will not get to them all. He's here. We've got a purpose. We're going to chat with him. The man is here, so I want to get to that. Hey, Stunt, good to see you. I'm really pleased that you made it. You're so stoked for the show. I'm glad you are. And Stunt, I know that you're going to get onto your own streaming. Do it. Podcasting is in right now. There's a lot of support. People like me, Joe Rampart, Chris Erickson. We're all out there to help people get their podcast started, their Twitter spaces started. Whatever you're doing, we'll help you get it going. Canada needs to hear from all of us. So, Stunt, I want to see you soon, please, buddy. And absolutely, find your friends. You're so close to being a full-time streamer, and I can't wait to join the movement and help it grow. Stunt, we're behind you. We want to get there. Hey, Ellen, nice wave. I like that. Is that a toque? Who else we got here? Ooh, some new names. Century 2000. Ooh, yeah, okay. I'll have a good one there. Hey, Prairie. Good evening, everyone. From Manitoba, thank you so much. Alberta, Railroaded. Good day, chat. Happy Father's Day to you all, and dads out there. That's right. That's right. You guys take care of your children. You are the men of the family. You are the fathers. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Eleanor, thank you very much for showing up again. I'd like to see you in here. Mr. Green Thumbs, boy, you're in a good mood all the way from Ottawa. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Who else we got in here? Everybody's here. The entire Plaid family is here. And it looks like maybe some of the Plaid Army might be in here too. Hey, Clash. Nice to see you again. You made it back. And then I asked you guys, are you excited? And holy smokes, are you ever? Yep, you're excited. You're excited. All right, let me see if there's anything here to address right away, because I want to get to them. I've been waiting all day for this. I threw my comic book collection in the fire last night. Then I donated my toy collection to the Salvation Army bin and canceled my subscription to Sportsnet. Are you making a move there, Stunt? Are you cleaning up? Is that monster truck ready? Huh? and Jeremy's laughing, so that's it. I'm going to bring him on. Let's see what he means by that. Jeremy, what does this mean to you?
This is a huge step in the right direction. I already like this guy. He's good. He knows what
Stunt is your man. Look, Stunt, you want to meet Jeremy? Let's hook him up because he is your man. Absolutely.
I go on about this all the time. You know, you've got these man baby people, right? And it's just something I bothers. Apathy, right? There's a lot of grown men, especially, that are just kind of descended or resigned to. I think the core of the issue is low self-confidence and low self-esteem. Man, especially if they've just been beaten and bludgeoned down into just shut up, you know. So they're like, I'll just play video games and not exist, and maybe that'll make it hurt less, you know. So you've got all these guys who just, you know, head down, consume, pay bills, watch sports, don't care. And I'm just like, damn you, you know, don't you owe thousands of years of your continued existence? I mean, your living self is a continued chain of life that goes back thousands of years from your ancestors, and you're spending it
playing video games.
You know, you're 40. You know what I mean? So it's like, at some stage, are you even gonna try at life with anything? Or, you know, anyway, it's more of a, you know, I come off pretty harsh on my chat, but it's just more of a, you know, come on, man. So that's great.
Yeah, we see those videos where like the hot lady will walk into the room and he's still playing video games. He's trying to look around her. You're talking about those guys, right? We got rid of those
I don't
guys.
know if they've ever even had hot women come into their room. I think that would be a startling event. You know, it's most of these guys, they just they avoid women, and it's a big problem. It's like a weird yeah, I mean, the enemy is very good at psychology, you know. And it's like beating the men down and demoralizing them to the point that they have low self-confidence is like a double-edged knife. It's like getting stabbed twice, because women are not attracted to men that have no self-confidence at all. They're attracted to confident, strong men because they're like, oh, maybe if I'm with him, I won't die. You know, it's just part of the instinct, right? So they're not going to be after these guys. So it's just an end, like it's a circle in the drain kind of situation we have with that. Anyway, society.
Rack your brain a bit. When was the first time you heard the term incel? Because that seems to be like a recent.
Within the last
Like,
4 years, I would say.
yeah, so
Sometimes since I've been on the internet.
woke men come in, and then we get this whole movement of incel, like non-attracted men. So there
Yeah.
might be a connection here. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, it stands for involuntarily celibate. So they're
Right,
like, I just can't get laid.
unattractive.
It's just never going to happen for whatever reason. They could be, well, probably not, but even if they were moderately or average, like physically attracted, there's just so much, people are so screwed up in the head now. Like, it's like trying to diagnose problems. People are talking about all these different problems, and I just I'm a big picture guy. I've always
Mhm.
kind of just like to think that way, and I'm just standing back watching, like, everything's on fire, guys. And you're like, if we do this and we do it, and I'm just like, shh, just come over here. Like, the fire is out of control. Okay, we're gonna just try to manage this, but you're not putting the fire out. There's so many problems and so many things that are just hammering away. I mean, you have to, try and fight it where you can, but there's some things that are just, you have to at least acknowledge and appreciate things are real bad, and it's like, don't beat yourself up too hard if you can't succeed and it's not working, because
Mhm.
things are really bad. It's not a good time. It's not an easy time right now.
No, it is some dark times right now, and it doesn't help that
Yeah.
the government, media, neighbors, everybody seems to be against us right
It's
now.
a dystopian
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
But I'm going to rewind you back to your beginning. I'm going to kind of Freud you and then take you back to the beginning here. Um, so tell me about your mother.
Couple of squiggly lines.
Yeah. What do you see
Ghostbusters.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I want to know is, okay, you were a veteran. You started off in the army. Was it the army that
Yeah.
you started off in?
Yep.
Okay. So why don't you take
Yeah.
us back to the guy that decided to join the army, go and give himself up to the country and get involved, and tell me about that guy.
That was a child. That was a very naive and, romanticized. Had a very romanticized vision of life, and what all of that meant, as most people do, because we're brought up
Hmm.
that way on purpose. That's what all the propaganda's for, and all the
Hmm.
glorious, war propaganda, and this kind of stuff that the corporations that benefit greatly off of our blood and death, depend on to continue the train of nonsense. So yay, all these ideas of things. I joined the army when I was 16, 17. I think it was 17. I'm starting to forget now.
As a cadet
2003.
first?
No, Army Reserves. I wasn't Sea Cadets briefly, but I was like the
I was a
Navy.
Sea Cadets in Winnipeg,
Yeah, but I
HMCS
knew
Chippewa.
within minutes, I think 4 minutes in, I'm like, this is a really gay place, and I left immediately.
It was
I don't know.
fun to watch. People
Yeah.
fall. They just drop and their head
I
bounces. It's kind of
I think I made
interesting.
it a month. I think I went for a month or something like that, and I was like, I'm just
Yeah.
not into this. But I did come back, and I went to do the military. I joined the reserves first in
Okay.
2003, and then obviously the war had just kind of begun then, and it just started needing bodies, and then a lot of reserve guys typically didn't get opportunities like that
Mhm.
previous, because it's been forever. Canada hadn't been in a real gunfight since Korea, really, outside of
Right,
Medak
right.
Pocket and Bosnia. We were pretty much just chilling, so there was no need to get all these replacement guys, because people were getting killed and blown up and having to, so they were like, oh, let's we're gonna have to get the reserves, and they asked for volunteers, and I said, I'll go. And I just stayed with them ever since,
This was in
until
Nova Scotia?
yeah. And then I
Okay.
deployed in the first one, my first time in 2007 with the Royal Canadian Regiment, the Reg Force guys, and I just stayed there. And I stayed there until I was in 2nd Battalion, 3rd Battalion. I did a short stint in the Special Operations unit in Petawawa for a little bit.
Okay.
And I just mentioned it because it was like, that was just a fun, cool time of my career.
Mhm.
It's a fun, I have, a lot of respect for those guys and what they do. And
And we
yeah,
train
and that was it. And I got out in 2017. So.
and we train our own guys for that, or do the US guys come up or British guys come over and help or anything?
Actually, yeah, they do, which was kind of the source point. I remember thinking that. I'm like, I got to learn this from Navy SEALs and Green Berets,
Mhm.
because we don't have our own guys, huh? All right.
Yep.
Like, we've got this SAS captain here teaching us, stuff from, from the United Kingdom, and there's SEALs and their Green Berets. There were Canadians as well, like JTF
Mhm.
guys and stuff. But um, I don't think it's because we need them to necessarily, but it makes us all stronger, as an alliance. And I mean, I'm not pro NATO at all, because I mean, politics aside, it does make us all stronger as a family to kind of, we'll send some of our guys with you. You send here. We
Mhm.
trade skills and knowledge. We pass over, and we become more interoperable that way. So one army can deal. It's like we work together all the time. It's like, it's like coming to a new hockey team. You don't want to just hit the rink with this guy on game day. Like, we
Mhm.
get to
Yep.
skate a bit and make sure we know each other's timings and so on. So there's some of that too, but it's yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff you can get into in the military. I remember thinking, I wish I was younger. I wish you lived 200 years or something, just to try it all, because there's so many different things that would have been cool, but you
Mhm.
kind of have to pick one. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be a whole bunch of different things, and it was like, yeah, it's going to take you 10 years to get there, and then you're halfway done. So.
Well, I would suggest you become a pilot. You can go ahead and do that.
No, I'm not vaccinated, so I'm never allowed to fly ever.
Well, here's something a lot of people didn't know. I am a pilot, so I do have my license. Yeah, exactly. Cool. I think I'm off. Something flashed on my screen earlier, though. So, dun, dun, dun.
Was it CSIS?
It's a screen I haven't seen before.
If it was gay porn, it was CSIS. So, I'm just letting you know. I have a lot of experience with this.
Or that hungry trucker guy, that guy that's been bugging me online.
Just you need some pizzas, you know, he's hungry a lot.
Yeah,
clearly.
So what I was going to ask was, when you went into the Army, did it feel like the right place to be, or did you have to kind of get yourself into it, or did it take a while to get used to it?
It was an uphill. It was a really scary, not scary, but I had that childlike naivety that you can just do what, you know, it's going to be good. I can do this, you know, when you're 17, and, you know, the self-doubt and go, this is crazy. I would never do that when you're 25. Like, you miss that whole phase because you're too young. That's why they recruit soldiers young, because, you know, you got to be kind of half insane to really look at it and understand it and what it means. But yes. No, I was a tiny, frail kid, but I loved, as soon as I knew what the military was, what the infantrymen, especially like that, like, war fighting like that, just the whole exchange was like, what is this? What am I watching? What is happening? And I was just, you know, became obsessed with it. I just was so fascinated by it and needed to learn so much about it and just become, you know, get as close to it as possible. I don't know why. It was just like, I never wanted to do anything else. Like, I knew for sure that's what I'm doing. One way or another, I'm getting into the military. I'm doing something. And then I was like, I'll try the reserve infantry because it'll be a little bit easier, maybe, you know, and you can leave whenever, and there was no pressure, there was no, you know, so I thought that was a good way to try and start out. But I was, you know, looking, it was tough. It was tough. I crawled over the finish line. You know, I think I was 113 pounds when I joined. 115 pounds, something like that. So I was 17, you know, I barely had a blister in my life, and they throw 75 pounds on your back and say, walk till you die. I'm like, what? It was a rough awakening, and it just got harder, right? And I had to get harder with it, or I would not make it. And then, you know, some of the things I did end up doing throughout my career and some of the stuff I've been able to achieve, I never would have thought, not in a million years when I was 17, that I could do these things. It was just, if I could have just been existing in a regular force unit, I would have been happy as a clam. I would have thought that was the best, most amazing, like, this was an incredible achievement to me in my mind. But then I get bored, and then I want something more, and it never stops. I guess, I don't know if that's ambition or I'm insane or whatever it is, but I get used to something. I was like, well, now I want to do this. And I had to get out after a while because I realized it was never going to stop. Like, right. I only was supposed to be there for 3 years. I just wanted it on my resume, life experience. Hey, you know, whatever. Then the war happened, and I was like, well, I can get a deployment, and then I'm going to get out. And then I didn't. And it's like, well, a few more years, and then I'll get out. I'll try the seesaw thing, and then I'll get out. Well, I'm getting promoted. And then I'll get out. Or, well, we've got this thing in America, but then, and it was just, I'm like, I have children now. I had a couple of kids, and I'm just like, why am I missing Halloween with them right now?
Right.
Oh, because some rich people are mad about what the Russians are doing, and this is stupid. I'm done. You know, it just I got to be in it because it was never going to end. I would have always found a new stupid thing to chase. And
well, if you didn't run into that, would you have been able to make a career of it? Do we take care of our veterans? Do we take care of our military? Like, is it really a career?
In what sense? You can, yeah. You know, do the full time and retire. It's not bad. It's not a great ride. It's not like super comfy, but it's pretty it's pretty good. You'll get paid half of your salary, which isn't awesome. But a lot of guys, you get, like, there's supplementary benefits and things that kind of so you do okay, especially if you're an officer, because they get paid way too much money, and they get to keep, you know, half of a colonel's salary is what, you know, it's like $100 grand or something, right, a year.
Wow.
That's great, you know. A corporal, not so much, you know, you're living on 30 grand or something, you know, with your pay. But yeah, you know, it's okay. But it's like the bare minimum, you know, as far as that goes. And then it's like, yeah, it's an afterthought. It's very much just what have you done for us lately? And then when you're of no use to anyone, they don't care, you know, and they're not in a hurry to try and fix anything. And that, I don't see that changing anytime soon, because I've been sitting here watching my friends kill themselves left and right for 15 years, and nothing. You know, we're worried about the cost of milk or something. So
no, you're not wrong, and that's horrible that is the case that they're in, and we're not taking that stuff seriously right now.
So I think, guys, if they're already, for veterans listening or guys, like, you have to take care of each other and you have to take care of yourselves. I remember being told that as a young guy, but it just kind of went over my head. I'm like, he's just bitter and old. Some sergeant be like, you listen to me, boys. When this is all done, all you got's each other, and they're gonna fucking fuck every one of you, and you're never gonna, And I'm just like, he's been divorced 3 times. He's drunk right now. Who cares? But he's a very damaged, a man in pain. Like, I didn't really get that when I was younger. I just thought they were crazy, and they were. Like, some of our sergeant majors and warrant officers and stuff were like old airborne guys that had been in Medak Pocket and been in like Somalia, and like this is their 3rd tour in Afghanistan, and they're just like, they're just, their whole world is just bad stuff. Divorces and the alcoholism, and then this job is, not good, and the death and the killing and the suicides, and then back home to that stuff. So it's like, imagine what that will do to someone's mind and personality over years and years and years of it. And then by the time it's over, they don't even, good luck functioning as a human being once you leave that world, and they just, here you go, and they fire you into this woke mess where you can't raise your voice or you're committing assault. You go from a place like that where, your first solution is usually to kill the problem, and now it's like, oh no, don't step on a ladybug. That's a hate crime. Like, what are you talking about? So a lot of them just disappear into the woods, and they're the only officer they talk to is Captain Morgan, and they're usually dead not long after they retire. And that happens to a lot of people with their career or anything, like cops, like once their purpose is no longer there, and they're just like, well, I'm here to drink now. And that's not, your soul dies, and then you die. So,
well, psychologists, they go through that because they're carrying all of those stories that they listen to and all that stuff too. Oh, yeah. Like, you'll hear horrible things, and the police, they see that accidents and stuff. In war, you see that as well. So do you have any friends that are still with you that you're connected with from back then?
In the military? That are still in? There's a couple
that you knew back then. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no. There's a lot of us that still keep in touch. It's pretty wild. Like, some of the friendships I made there, like, you could not see them or talk to them for years, and we would remark on it. Like, we'd see each other 7 years later, 8 years later, and we'd be like, it's like it was yesterday. Like, it's wild how quickly it comes back. Because I think when you form bonds like that, it's like being a family. You don't need to, if you're in good terms, like if you're on good terms with your brother, you don't need to see him every day. You can see, here and there, and you see him 10 years later, it's like, you're going to get along. It's kind of similar that way. So it's pretty cool. It's cool in that way, because I don't know where else you'd find that. I've never found that anywhere else in civilian life where you'd find connections like this.
Well, what about the Plaid Army?
Sort of, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a shared struggle, right? It's a war of a different kind, but there are casualties, and people are suffering, and people are being made to pay sacrifices and suffer the consequences of the things that go on. So it is similar to that. I mean, there's real fear. There's real, it's not in your head. It's not like Alex Jones days where everybody would just sit around and be worried about stuff that may happen. Now it's like things are happening, and people are going to jail and disappearing, and it's getting, it's getting wild out there. So it's they're pretty good dudes. Most of them. It's insane. They're all degenerate psychopaths and crazy, but I'm the worst one. So I mean, it's
self-assessed worst one, right?
I'm actually the good cop. If I have to, if Alex and Derek, they're worse. I mean, they're way worse. They'll go right for the neck. I'll at least give you a chance to die, surrender first, but they won't. They're ruthless.
Speaking of friends, is Phillip around? Is he in the room? Or
he is? He's taking a time out right now. He's been
bugging me. He's been asking for payment, and
it's Saturday. He's all dressed up. He's getting ready to head out here soon. So hopefully I don't have to deal with that shortly, but somebody's gonna.
That's the goat we're talking about, right, Alan? That was the goat
he's a problem. That's the real. That's who's really running everything, actually.
Yeah, well, I don't normally get nervous when Twitter people follow me, but he did, and I started to get nervous.
Did he? Oh, that's not good.
I know. I must have did something. Yeah. I would almost want to take Gilmore over that one. Really. Yeah.
You would just be looking for things she can quote tweet to pretend to be outraged about anyway.
Yeah. Well, she'll find something. She can twist a lot. It's like Twister for her. She can get it done. And I'm kind of impressed with that ability. Like, the ability to spin that badly. Is just some talent there.
It's just a different way of thinking, and I really do believe it's associated and attached to just weakness and just weak character and flawed, weak people, because I used to be one of these people, and I used to think like them. Like, I understand what they're doing, I guess, is why. Because because I used to do these kinds of, when you're young and you're stupid and you're trying to get out of a situation, or you're going to lie or twist this or embellish it. You know what I mean? Like the things I see them doing all the time is like, I used to do that. And I used to do that. I know what you're doing. I've seen this.
I invented that one.
Yeah. Right. So it's like, I see myself in what they do and they say sometimes, like when I was younger and dumber and weaker. And that was the reason. It's because I just didn't want to accept something or face something or take ownership of something, or it was always a hiding. I was always hiding from something. It was never out of just, oh geez, I I actually didn't realize any better. There's always something else going on. And that's a big part of a lot of our problems, I think, is just we're just weak. We're weak people now. We didn't used to be, and that's happened very quickly, and things are starting to really rapidly. There's a grace period, right? When the pilot dies and the plane doesn't crash, because it doesn't crash right away. But after a few minutes, you're like, are we drifting? I think we're drifting downward. What's happening? And he's dead. You're like, oh crap. I think we're in the starting to drift phase. So.
Oh, that's a weird analogy because I get it. The pilot dies, the pressure goes, and
there's a little bit of a grace period before everything completely goes to hell. And it's like, you can't get away with just this level of mismanagement and lying, and everything is some kind of deception and trickery. And I mean, a little bit of anything, things in moderation, not that they're good, but if they're manageable, it's not going to topple the ship or anything. But if it's just all chaos all the time, I mean, I was reading today, like how many women are like on OnlyFans instead of working. And it's like, does anyone care what this is doing to the GDP? Like, this isn't producing anything.
That's right.
This is like all of these little problems that I'm mentioning is like, they all add up to create this golem, this monstrosity of a thing we're facing. And it's like, people are like, what do we do? I'm like, I know, it's throw stuff at it, set it on fire. I don't know, try anything, because it seems very powerful. I don't know if I can swear at all or what. I don't know.
Go ahead. Yeah, enjoy yourself, man. We did a later show.
Not that I need to.
I feel privileged that you asked me for permission on something. Dude, do whatever you want. This is your country.
I try to behave when I'm in somebody else's house.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Take me to your house and show me what it's like. I've seen some of your stuff, but yeah, it's fun.
It's a wood pile, baby. I'm the spider lord. I'm the lord of the spiders. Spiders everywhere. They crawl on me during the streams. I'm like, I'm just making the best of it,
That's awesome. Yeah. So you kind of self-admitted that you were a little bit naive when you got into the military about life and stuff like that, right?
Well, yeah. Did
17. Did you grow up there, or did you kind of grow up after you got out of there?
I think it never stops. That old cliche, you never stop learning, right? But there are some things that it's like, yeah. Again, the psychology stuff is just fascinating. I think that's the core of everything. The whole war, the whole reality, everything that's happening. It's all a psychology war now, because it's sophisticated. But the Yuri Bezmenov interview, a lot of people kind of noticed recently over the years. It's like, nothing will break the conditioning of the brainwashing until you feel some kind of pain yourself, like something has to hurt you. If it's happening around you, but you're not being harmed, it's like walking around in the rain with an umbrella, and you're like, I don't see what the big deal is. And then umbrella's gone. And then it's too late. Right. So it was like, oh, this is great. The military is a good time, and this and that. And then you're seeing kids on fire, and people are getting blown up and sent home in garbage bags, and people are having to shoot teenagers, and there's children being raped 20 feet away from me, and I'm telling, oh shh, don't, it's part of, and all of this crazy, horrible stuff goes on. And you're like, okay, but my soul demands an explanation for this, and the one you're giving it is not good enough. Like, well, I was supposed to, we got paid to. So it's like, so we had to go murder a bunch of people because you get paid. Like, why? What did they do? What's happening? Well, I'm not sure what they did. I think it was this other guy who used to live here, but not really, because I think it's the CIA. But I think maybe he's in Pakistan, but I don't know. But we're blowing up Iraq now for a different. Why are you asking so many questions, soul? And it's like, you can't, and you keep ignoring this. It gets worse, and you'll go crazy. And you'll become a crazy person. So I'm like, I have to know. I have to understand what this is. And eventually it was, the truth. I mean, I don't like a good rant about the truth of the wars and the industrial complex and the banking industry. Oh, that for 7 hours, but I could, and I do. But long story short, I get to the point and I'm like, I can't do this now. I can't know what I know and continue to do this. And then I started kind of backing away to the exit around that time, around 2016, 17. So.
And when did your eyebrows start raising for your government? So you started seeing things within the military, but when did you start?
Oh, right away. I never liked them. I was always kind of suspicious and just skeptical of the government anyway.
Okay. Was there something that happened, or just always?
I think it was just my upbringing. My family and my grandfather especially was politically active in the sense that he would be what you would consider now to say a populist. He was about like helping the community and everybody else, and the feds, damn, he definitely would have been a PPC guy if he's still around. But that's what he was like. And I grew up on things like George Carlin, like this, that kind of thinking. I mean, I liked his humor, but I liked, how he saw, some certain people and certain things. And I found that I liked that. So I kind of always had that, but it was around, I mean, I didn't like Harper either. I don't like any of them because I think they're all bad. They're all the same animal. They're all the same creature, which is something I detest. And it's like, well, this one's got red fur. I'm like, I don't care. It's still a hyena, right? It doesn't matter what. Oh, this one's got a necklace on and he's got a turban. Like, that's nice. It's still a jackal or whatever. But I mean, they were passing things like the spying bit, the C-51, where it was like, because I was aware of the terrorism problem stuff, right? I was like, it's there, but it's being pushed at a lot of levels, and it's being allowed to happen on purpose. So I was like, this isn't as honest of a problem as we think it is. It's being helped along by people in power we're supposed to trust. But they were passing things like C-51, where it's like, yeah, the police would have two days or 24 hours, I think it was 24 hours or 48 hours to charge you with something, or they had to let you go.
Right.
Now it's 2 weeks if they suspect you on terror. So they could just, in theory, just throw you in jail for 2 weeks and say, oh, we might be up to something. So we're just going to do that. Little things like, and we're going to read your emails now. And we're going to do basically the American Patriot Act, but in Canada and this kind of stuff. Because I was actually following American politics more closely with the Bush regime and Cheney and all the Patriot Act stuff that was going on there. So I was like watching that. And then seeing similar language kind of drift up to our country, and I was like, "Whoa, no, we can't do that." And it would happen anyway, and it's never stopped. Every successive government, it's the same person. Like, just strip away the cosmetics, and it really is. It's like those memes. It's like it's just some kind of creature in a suit. It's all the same one. They all work for the same people. They're all beholden to the same people. They all take money from the same people. They all hang out together at these forums and these, like, they're a peer in group. They go to parties together. Like, they're not from, they're from different, political parties, but it's like like a hockey player in the NHL or an NFL player. He has more in common with a player on the other team, like their division rival, than he ever will with you. You're just some guy in the stands. How could you possibly know what it's like to be whatever? I don't even know. Mark Messier. I don't know. That's how dated I am.
I like him.
Right? Like, he ruled, right? But how would you know what I mean? But they're more they're peers, and that's how it is up there. That's Ottawa. They're all and they have contempt and kind of a loathing of the general population, and they show it every day, all the time. So it started to be, I thought, the Harper, the bad, and then we got to get him out, and then the next guy comes in, he's even worse, get him out, and it's always been like this, because it's just they're just middle management, right? So it kind of started with a couple of things, and I started paying attention to them. The more I paid attention, the less I liked that I saw. And to this point where I'm just like, the whole thing's rotten, man.
So really now we're just after 2001. We're in the Bush years. Got some wars, Patriot Act, and then we got Obama. Obama comes on the stage, 2008. What did you think about him? Did you think we were having change finally?
I was pretty skeptical of it. I didn't imagine much would happen. I wasn't really into it as much because I was just like, whatever. Like, Bush is gone, so I guess we're doing black guy president now. Whatever. Like, I didn't really care one way or the other. I had a general sense from the kind of the online community in those days. I've been kind of on the internet, kind of listening to these kind of areas, these little, kind of spots for a long time. And it wasn't as bad, not anywhere near as crazy as it is now. But even I could tell that Americans were not pumped about what this guy was doing. And it was a lot of, we're going to have hope and change, and we're going to bring America back to its glory. And every person, and it was like, yeah, that's what you're saying, but this is what you're doing. Drone strikes, all over the place, killing your own citizens in jail, and you're like, ugh. But it's like, that's not him, though. He's not really. Anyone that believes this is like, they have a child's like understanding of what's actually happening in the world. And it's not like to be, you're an idiot. It's like, you need to look again. It's like, you've given me the answer. I'm like, this is incorrect. Try again. Do the math again. The president's not really in charge. It's these, these psychopaths are in there, and they just allow, like, it's a figurehead position, really.
Oh,
Because the
absolutely.
same
And we saw
policy is
that.
always carried forward anyway, regardless of who it is, liberal, Democrat, white guy, black guy, doesn't matter. They're not in charge. They're just there to sign the papers and make the idiots happy that they think everything is working the way that it's supposed to. When the whole thing's been captured by big money a long time ago, and they clearly don't care. So yeah, he's there killing people, and it was all crazy. And it was interesting though, because at the time, because I did follow Alex Jones for a few years, and he started coming after Obama, and he was. I'm kind of probably going to experience a similar thing here, not to that level, but I've kind of been known as because I was against, and I am, I'm not a fan of the liberals at all, but they're like kind of a low hanging fruit and easy target. And it was when for Jones, he was always after Bush, and they're like, oh, he's a left wing libtard, this kind of thing. Obama takes over and he's just as bad as the last guy. So he's going after him too. And they went, oh, wait a minute now. Like what? Like, guy, I just don't like bad people. Like, I don't care, not that I'm, Alex Jones is his own, thing. It's just kind of an example.
Yeah.
But I'm not, a lot of people weren't happy to see that I don't like the conservatives either. I don't like any of them. And it's never been a secret. Everybody that's been following me for years, there's a bunch of them in the chat that have been watching for like 5 years, which is crazy, and they've, ask them, ask that many of them, there's hundreds of them. And it's like, I've been pretty consistent with, sometimes you change your mind about things and you say, you know what, I was wrong.
I thought about it. And so,
yeah, but I basically I've been pretty much the same, as far as that goes.
So at this time you came out of the Army. What are you doing for a job? What's keeping you busy?
Oh, well, there's the problem. Geez, when I got out, I did what a lot of the guys do. I went to Forward Operating Base living room couch, and I enlisted with Captain Morgan, and we the booze at the time, not my current girlfriend. But
Spice rum is my favorite, by the way. Captain Morgan spice rum. That's what I'll do.
But it just it was all right at first. You've got a lot of time with the kids and stuff, and but men need something to do. I mean, everyone does, right? You need people need a purpose. I've never been a woman, so I don't know, and I can't just take it. I'm not going to pretend. I'm wearing makeup. I'm pretty now. I'm a woman. No, it's not. So I don't like to speak on their behalf, but I don't know. Men need something to do. You need a purpose, and when you feel like you don't have one, it's a crushing, horrible, feeling. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Yeah, sorry, I got cut out there a little bit. I got a storm all of a sudden. So was Morgan was with you at that time? Yeah, it's probably Harp or something because I'm with you. So the storm. It just came out of nowhere, dude. Like right as soon as you get on, there's a storm here.
It could be. If they're lighting fire, if there's fires starting around you, look for Trantifa terrorists. That could be the reason. But
okay, well, you said you're not a woman, but maybe today's you're going to make an announcement. Are you going to come out?
No, I'm a heterosexual cisgendered white man. So I am Satan, and I like it. So
well, if you started leaning that way, C4 won't let me bring you back. So you're on your own if you started that way.
I don't think that's going to be happening. But what did I do? No, I just I lost. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was really bored, and I'd started kind of doing online stuff, but I don't know, wasn't really into it, and I just kind of. I don't know. I got bored and just sitting around, and it was miserable. And I was going to the gym and stuff, but I mean, what is that? What is this? I'm just here to. What am I doing any of this for? It was a lot easier to train, like I was at a crazy level. I was going to the gym twice a day, training 3 times a day sometimes because I was these jobs and things I was trying to do for the military. It was justified, but now it's like, why? To be healthy and stay in shape, I guess, but not to that level. So I don't need to. I'm not exercising nearly as much, which leaves you more time to sit around and ruminate on horrible things and stuff. So. I remember my mom told me when I was a kid, she, even when I was in the military, maybe she's like, because I was miserable the whole time I was in there too. I'm so stubborn, I'll just put up with something forever, just to not let it win, but I didn't like it in there. And she's like, you should do something creative. Cause I've always been, I used to make little comic books as a kid. And I did like a kind of a drama class. We'd make movies and stuff in school, high school. And I just, I'm a clown. I like to entertain people and
you need an outlet.
Yeah, and that's just what I'm like, and played a little bit of music for a time. Like, you got some lightning there, or you're under fire. I don't know.
This is our first storm like this. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make silly YouTube videos just as something to do. I had no long term. I was like, I'm just gonna do this because I think it's funny, or I think this is silly, and I'll just see. And I made a few. I started poking fun at veterans at first, like for certain ones, and then some government policies through kind of like mockery and this kind of stuff. And I knew people were in, like, the live streaming stuff was just kind of starting at that time. There was a couple guys, but I was like, this guy's got Owen Benjamin was one. I was like, there's 5,000 people watching this guy, and he's just got a laptop open. Like, just that's it. You know, it's just that's it, which is incredible. I was like, I could go downtown and yell about anything till I'm blue in the face, and there could be 20 people there, or you know, this guy's got 5. That's a theater. I mean, physically imagine 5,000 people. I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Every night, 5,000 people. This is bananas. I was like, I could do that. I could do what he's doing. You know, it's not that hard. I mean, I'm considering, I know not to be, you know, I know myself. I'm like, I think I could do what he does. So I thought I would give it a shot, but you need to build a channel from something, you know, just start doing these, like, who are you? Nobody cares. Right. So I have to build an audience. So I start making videos, and they kind of, you know, same kind of thing. I'm a opinionated guy. I'm a belligerent kind of shit disturber, you know. It runs in the family. and I like to kind of apply that with my sense of humor, because that's just how I cope with life. That's how I get through life. That's just what I do. That's the car I'm driving, I guess, if you can put it that way. I'm literally in a clown car all the time. It's like, it's just, I'm still on the road, you know. There's lots of people that aren't anymore, right? And I'm like, don't knock it till you try it. Like, is everything a joke to you? I'm like, it's how I stay alive.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It has to be. Have you looked out there? Yeah.
No, it totally helps. So at this point, you're not working, or you were just keeping busy with the gym?
This is what I do full time.
Okay. And what was your first kind of breakout? Did you have like a little viral moment? Did you say, hey, I don't like that, and then boom, something happened?
Yeah. So there was a video I did outside of Dalhousie University in Halifax in 2019 when they had Omar Cotter there. It was the only place he stopped. I thought he was going to do like a countrywide tour or anything. And I don't have anything against him personally as a human being. It's not like he killed my dog or something. You know, he didn't screw my ex-wife or anything. You know what I mean? It's just the whole thing was just really, it was hero worship of this guy. It had become this, you know, and I'm just looking at all these Canadians like, oh, this poor man. And I'm like, he killed our guys, though. You care more about him than I rode over there on the ferry, you know, from Dartmouth to Halifax. It was the Dartmouth ferry, and it's the Corporal Christopher Paul Stanek's ferry. That was my roommate, and that's the only recognition he gets. He gets his name tagged on the bottom of some old boat. Drunks take back and forth from downtown. This guy gets a standing ovation from the entire fucking city, you know. So I was like, this is not going to be okay with me. So I put my medals on, and it was like the universe had dared me, because I'd been talking about this for weeks, right? And it's like, surprise, he's going on. I was like, oh, where's this? You know, now he's going to do a speaking tour to make money. Yeah, and he's going to be 15 minutes from your house. So I was like, nice. Okay, universe. Okay, I see what this is. This is your you put up or shut up, huh? Okay. So I went down there, and you know, Antifa was like, we're gonna. I was like, all right, I'll see you there. Nothing happened. Of course, they weren't there. They didn't show up. Nobody said a word to me. And a guy, a friend of mine, Peter, took a video of me. I didn't know him at the time. I met up with him later. And, you know, Morgan knew him, and, you know, all this, but at the time he was just there and was like, do you mind if I video? I'm like, yeah, go for it. And I'm just, you know, going off. Right. And that got a fair amount of traction. And so I saw somebody mention the chat earlier. That was the first time anybody actually cared to talk to me. The only person in the world that asked to talk to me in a media capacity was Gavin McGinnis. This video had 7 or 8 million views on Twitter in a day. In like a day or two.
Wow.
Like 7-8 million, right? And it was huge. And my Twitter account went from like 600 people to 50,000 in 2 days, and then it was banned. And then all the anti-hate articles started coming out like this. They had been sitting on it, building a case just in the event that I should somehow end up somewhere. They must have saw something in me. They must have recognized my potential. So thank you very much, anti-hate, for making me who I am now. But that happened, and it was just Gavin McGinnis, nobody else. And I was like, it wasn't like I expected to, like, how dare they not want to talk to me? But I was like, this is strange. I mean, if this was anyone else, like if this had been my friend, and he's like, this video that I did, and it's got 8 million views, and I'm like, oh, dude, the news is going to be at your house tomorrow. You know, and it's like, nobody called? Nope. You know, so then it began, and then I was even aware of this whole sub war, this old underneath culture war was happening below, you know, what people see on TV with there's a whole other nightmare cesspool going on underneath that. And I just found myself in the middle of it, and I had no idea it was going. I was like, oh, my umbrella's gone, and what's happening? And like, yeah, you're in a war. Oh crap. Okay, all right then. And then you know, it's been going at it I push back at them, and and it's just been back and forth. It's a fight to the. I told them, I was like, this is to the death. And they're like putting me in prison. I'm coming out of prison. I'm like, I'm coming for you. You know, I'm coming for you.
So you've been doing that for a while. Then we're now into the Trump year. So Trump gets elected. Things start to change. The crazy is now south of the border. Everything's Trump's fault. Everything's Trump.
I remember where I was. I was in a hotel. I was moving back to Nova Scotia, I think. Yeah. I was in a hotel. I had my brand new my baby was, you know, it was just the two of them at the time. So I had a son who was probably 2 or 3 at the time, and his sister was like months old, you know, and I'm brushing my teeth, and she's like, oh my God, he's going to win. And I went, what? And I went out and I went, no way. I did not think that this was going to be allowed to happen. Like, there's no way, you know, it was like the fix is in, like, she's got a 99% chance to win. And everyone was like, that doesn't seem right. And I was like, they did this with Ron Paul. They're just going to rob it from him. And this is the manipulation game. So when it happens, everyone's like, well, yeah, the poll said she had a 99% chance to win. So I really thought, and I think they underestimated how many people got off the couch to vote for him, because this wasn't the same old song and dance. And this is what I'm saying. You have these creatures, these political, everyone knows them when they see them. You know, it's like, oh, a politician. Yeah, they're all the same, and they're all just mimicked bad copies of each other. It's like they come out of a factory, you know, with default vanilla set. They all have the same 7 pre-programmed responses. Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. 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 Let America be clear. Like, oh, you're clear. You know, oh God, are you clear? You'd say it every day. Like, it's the same. We're going to build back better. We're going to build back better. Like, you're the same person. You're all the same person. It's crazy. And then in comes Orange Man. And he's like, I'll kill everybody. I'll set this whole place on fire. I'll just burn myself down alive. I don't care. And it's like, this is a show now. Now I'm interested, right? So all these different Americans were like, well, this is a carnival. Americans, and we like a carnival, don't we? We like a show. So they got involved, and it became a shit show that has still not been put to bed. And they like it, it turns out. They like the carnival because it affects their lives very deeply. So now that was the beginning of it, right? And it took a freak show act to bring people in and bring their attention into what was happening. So I think that was a good thing overall that happened. It got a lot of people involved and engaged. And then, of course, you know, and what's your opinion, man? YouTube has now allowed this. The only time they've ever reversed their terms of service policy ever that I'm aware of. You are now allowed. You used to be insta-banned to suggest that there was any kind of shenanigans or chicanery going on with the election, you know. And now they're like, okay, never mind, you're allowed to say that now. And it's like, why? Because it did happen, you know. So I'm pretty confident, you know. There's the famous chart where there's the line going up, and then there's the blue one for Biden, and it just goes boop like this overnight.
It's like an elevator happened.
Yeah.
Just brought it
when they said, yeah, we're gonna have to call it a night and we're gonna have to check back in the morning, I was like, it's rigged, because that's never happened, right? I've watched all the elections and stuff for 20 years at that point, and it's like, this isn't normal at all. There's no way. And then this happened. So I don't know what's gonna happen next time, but
I would have been in that meeting, and I would have looked at a graphic and said, there's no way they're going to believe that, guys. We have to fix it. Come on, just make it blend in or something.
There was a lot of weird video coming out. And then Dinesh D'Souza's work there, the Mule movie.
2000 Mules,
whatever it was. Yeah, that was some crazy. And the brainwashing is so thick to get through. It's like people are drunk, or it's like you're trying to yell at them from really far away. Like on a beach or something, and you're like, they're like out to sea. I did this kind of a metaphor in my show once, and I'm like, you're gonna die, you know, and they could barely hear you. They can't really make out what you're saying, and you're like, it's nothing. But that's the effect it has when you show them something like this. If it was the other way around, it was like, here's what Trump's people were doing, and they're stuffing ballot boxes and ripping ballots and like hiding cameras and ripping hard drives out of things. You'd be like, their heads would explode. And then you show it happening on the other side, and they're like, pfft. You know, and then I just think of Yuri, and he's like, why do you still try? You are making Yuri sad. Do I not tell you? It's impossible. And I'm like, I know, Yuri, but they're so frustrating.
Yeah, that's quite the video. We bring that up a few times. Gov Corrupt, which is in the chat right now. Yeah, I think you know who he is. I think you're trying to connect with him.
I recognize it. He's on Twitter, right?
Yeah. He's another good one. So if you can connect with him, he's a good one. And then Zach Schmidt, podcast or Schmidt House. Yeah, connect to him as well. He's pretty cool. So did this explode your reach? Like at the time you were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then COVID hits.
Yeah,
and
that started to get.
Yeah. Now at this time, are you doing Plaid Army? Are you building that up, or is that okay?
So that I started doing the live streams and stuff, and it was my buddy, the other guy, the other problem, Derek Harrison. He had already had a YouTube channel for a little bit longer, a couple 2 years maybe longer than I did. So he'd been around a little bit longer, knew more people, and it's a whole other industry, really. It's kind of like an emerging. I wish I was saw like what PewDiePie did in the early days of YouTube, and just make anything, right? And if it's even halfway good, there's only 20 channels. Imagine being one of the first people on YouTube with any quality content, and now what? You have $200 million. It's like investing in anyway.
What's the irony though? Like he's a gamer and that's all he does. And
I know he just hit the jackpot. He's like one of these guys that's like, sure, I'll buy 1,000 Bitcoin for $5. Who cares? And then yay! Like, yeah. Lucky, but he does work and so on. It's not all luck. I'm just saying the timing is great. I wish I'd started a couple years earlier before the YouTube gate closed, when the algorithms really started, because it wasn't always like that.
Right.
In the years I was watching things before I went to conspiracy school, I call it. I watched everything, I read everything, I downloaded everything about everything that I could find. I became obsessed, and I was just like, I need to know what the hell is going on. And again, big picture, like that, I need all of the information then, and I need to throw it all on the floor and just go through it and move it around until something makes sense. And that's what I did for like 7 years before I ever started making content. But I should have started sooner, because by the time I got in, it was like, nope. They started really suppressing people and banning stuff. So,
well, rapid fire, JFK assassination. Who did it?
Israel.
Okay. 9/11, inside job or outside?
Also Israel.
Okay. Is this going to be your answer? It's like every answer.
To a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. Did we go to the moon?
Don't ask about the USS Liberty, please. The moon is interesting because there's a lot of I don't know what's going on with that. That is a very, like, as fairly as I can say, like, what do I know for sure? They're lying about a lot of what goes on in these space programs. They're releasing doctored, edited things for reasons that are not their explanations are ludicrous. Like, oh, we didn't like how the clouds looked, so we thought you'd like it better if we fucking what? What are you doing? Why are you just take the picture? You're being weird and stuff like this. And anyway, there's a lot going on. So why is that? I mean, and NASA is a military apparatus. A lot of people don't know that. It's not like it's just space nerds, honestly. No, it's the military. It's all under the Pentagon. Okay, so there's top secret clearances and all. It's no different than Delta Force. All right, probably of a higher secrecy. So who the hell knows what's going on there? But there's some, I believe there's probably some truth to the Stanley Kubrick connection. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, all the UFOs have been coming out recently. Are those real?
I've seen UFOs, so whatever they are, they exist. They're creepy, and I think that's all they are. I don't know what. I think they've been around forever, because there's cave paintings of them that are 5,000 years old. Of these, there's and it's like, unfortunately, that's just the place where we live. I think that sometimes when I'm driving and I'm just like, there are things flying around in the sky and nobody knows anything about them. And
do you want to go
into
that?
I mean, that's really it. I think that people are like, oh, what's the truth? And I don't think anyone knows. I honestly believe that no one knows, or the people that know the most are only this much further along than we are. They probably do have some smashed up stuff here and there. It's not impossible that things can crash or get shot down or whatever, malfunction and I don't know what the hell's going on. But as far as I could find in that, going through that rabbit hole, it was a whole lot of government people being like, you know what? We have no idea. We tried and we don't know. We don't know what this is, where it came from, how it works, we tried everything. And they've, they're still like, don't know. Like we just don't know. And I think that's probably the reason why they don't talk about it. Because what are you going to tell people? Like, what is it? America, I'm here to tell you as the president that there are some disc-shaped machines flying around. Sometimes over nuclear weapon facilities, into the water, into
And
space,
they like
over your
cows for
house.
some reason.
And we have no idea what they are, what they want, or how to stop them. And they seem to have enjoyed total autonomy and power over us as a species. Carry on. You know, like that's it. Like, yeah, we can't say that, obviously.
No.
So
No.
what do you do? Right. And it's like, I bet the plan was like, all right, we got to figure this out before we tell everybody what we're going to do. And it's like 70 years later. I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, what are you going to tell people? There's flying monsters. It's, you know, I don't know what the hell it is.
And then I got 2 more for you. Next one should be pretty easy. Flat or round Earth?
I don't know. I don't care. You know, I'm pretty sure it's round. I've been around it. You know, I've flown in one direction. I've been, you know, in the middle of the South Pacific Ocean with land in no directions anywhere. And I'm navigating by my GPS, which is attached to a satellite, which doesn't exist in the flat Earth people. And I'm like, they're like, no, that was cell phone towers. And I'm like, bro, I was there. And it was nothing but ocean. And you ever been in a place where there's just ocean in every direction? It's kind of fucked up. Where you're like,
scary, especially at night. It's very black.
Yeah. Oh, I did at night, but I was on a bigger ship, and you're just looking over the deck, and you're like, man, if this thing goes down, you know, at least the water's warm. It was down down past Hawaii, like kind of towards China. You know, literally the middle of the ocean. There's like, look at it on a map, and it, you know, but yeah, the GPS worked perfectly. It was exactly where we were supposed to be, the maps and all of it. So yeah, I don't know.
It's fun,
but at the end of the day, I don't engage people with it because I'm like, I don't care. Like, oh, the Earth is actually a giant turtle inside of a microwave. I'm like, cool. Do I still have to pay taxes? Yeah. Is the government still trying to kill us all? Are there still going to be another 1 million migrants in the country this year? Is it? Yeah. Okay. So none of that matters now. That I can't have no control over being inside the giant turtle snow globe. That doesn't matter to me, you know.
And being inside that snow globe, do you believe that there's a globalist agenda 2030? Do you think this stuff is real, or are we just all making it up?
It's just they're so powerful and above it all that they don't need to hide. They just sell, you know, what's going on. I mean, there's books about it, right? They just say, yeah, this is what we're doing. And people don't seem to believe. I think it kind of gets lost sometimes with how excited somebody like Alex Jones gets. There's like a fine balance between that and just dryly like, Agenda 2030, next slide, has been presented in Davos, Switzerland, presented by the World Economic Forum. Next slide. Like, you're killing me, right? Get to the why do I care? But yeah, it's in there, and it's a lot of rich, powerful people deciding how the world is going to. They're shaping the world. They're deciding what's going to happen to all of us, and we have no say in this whatsoever. We are their slaves, and they can just decide. This country's not working out. Do we get rid of it? Like, maybe they will. They openly say, you know what? There's way too many people. We should bring this down. You know, and they're like, let's discuss. And they have closed door meetings that no one hears about what really goes on. You know, Bilderberg and Davos and, you know, the Bohemian Grove stuff. These are all real things. And it's like, you should be concerned. I mean, this isn't a lot of puzzle pieces to put together. The most powerful, influential, scariest people in the world are all getting together in secret to do God knows what, and you're not allowed to hear what they say. And you don't think there's any scenario where that's probably a bad, like I think that means we definitely should hear what's going on, because if it's, why is it a secret? You know, who are you afraid of? You're the most powerful people in the world. What are you hiding for? And things like this. And the people that try to find out, they get arrested and shot and so on. So you're like,
yeah. But every once in a while you hear him say, and the cabinet 50% has been penetrated, and then people say nothing.
Yeah,
people say nothing. He just outright says it.
Yeah, they're from out. What? I don't know. He's yelling about cabinets.
The time's Big Brother on.
I think he's a carpenter. He's talking about cabinets. I don't know. You know, they
Justin helped him. No big deal.
And I don't know. I think it's just kind of paralyzing too. But a lot of it is our own fault because we've tolerated it. We as a people have not organized any kind of effective resistance to challenge this. So it's like it's like nature. It's like might is right. That is how it works. And it's like, why is the world going this way? It's like, because they're pulling us this way and no one has decided to stop them. No one's trying to. I mean, not really. I mean, some people, there are small pockets of people trying to like, come on, we got to do this and that. But there's no big, they're generally uncontested in any arena. anywhere, which is really frightening, you know?
Well, we even had Alberta. So we just had our election. We had Danielle Smith. And when she was running for leadership, she said, hey, I'm going to get rid of these guys. WEF, ha, ha, ha. Why should they be here? They're still with our Alberta Health Services. She likes ESG scores. So, we're in a lot of trouble. There's only one who's talking about it, and that would be Maxime. And everybody else seems to blame him and say, hey, you were there too. And it's incredible. They're like, you were there too. And that's what we have to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, not that I want to throw them too much of a bone either, but I mean, to be fair, the whole thing is he was there 15 years ago, and that means he can't. You should never support it. Like, that's their position, right?
Yeah.
He was there 15 years ago.
Yep.
Your last outgoing leader did a farewell speech about how amazing the World Economic Forum is. The leader, not some backbench guy. And when he was done talking about how great the World Economic Forum is, everyone stood up and clapped.
Yeah.
In the Conservative Party. And now the Conservative Party position is that guy was there 15 years ago and he's bad, so you should vote for us instead. And I'm supposed to not hate you. Why? You're infuriating. Your lies aren't even intelligent. You're so lazy at your own subversive weaseliness that it fucking pisses me off. You know? And I'm like, you're not even trying. It's like kids throwing eggs at your house and they're like, oh, I've got a mascot. Like, you're not. I know that's you, Richard. You know, it's just irritating. It's like, you know, it's it wish, you know, at least, you know, make me earn it, you know, make me have that moment in the shower where I go, oh my God, you know, that's more fun. You know, this is just getting beat over the head with a stupid stick every day. And when you're like, they look at you like you're the crazy one, and it's insane. Sure. And you're like, why are we tolerating this? These people are either insane or barely smart enough to dress themselves.
So what should we do? Go buy an island and just populate it and do our own thing? Like, what should we do? Should we check out?
These are the things my lawyer don't want me to talk about.
Because Jeffries is for sale, isn't it? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not much you can do. There is some things you can do. But I mean, again, the problem is so huge. This is going to take 100 years to fix. This isn't something that, I mean, outside of, I mean, there's not going to be like a titanic war struggle. This isn't like World War II where there's like opposing sides that are equally, you know, this could go in a number of directions, right? This is all pretty much wrapped up, and there's just
it's like cancer. It's all over the place.
Yeah, and it's, you kind of just have to see it through to its conclusion. Like, this is going to go bad, and it's going to fall apart, and I really don't see how it's going to succeed long term. So the best bet that any of us have is to insulate ourselves from that as best we can, and basically build yourself into like a black box. So when the plane crashes, you survive, and then in the wreckage, build yourself a it's going to be lean-tos at first, but we're going to rebuild civilization on a deserted island, you know, or something like that, which is like, that's probably worst case scenario. It could not be that bad, but I think considering what's happening and what we're seeing, you'd be insane not to prepare for that, because the consequences of not being prepared for the worst case scenario is that you die. So that's, you know, not acceptable. And yeah, something else that you mentioned earlier with her, especially, my favorite thing was that she has no comment on a woman being taken off the organ donor list because she's unvaccinated. This is the woman that ran for premier saying, oh yeah, this is horrible, we can't allow that. Now she has no opinion. She is literally willing to let a woman die rather than get involved in that can of worms, open that can of worms. That's what kind of person they are. She'll just, oh, are you going to die? She'll slam the door in a dying woman's face because it's bad for her politically. Guess what? That's what they're all like. Because that's who's attracted to that job. They see that career path, and they see that, and that appeals to them. It shouldn't. You know, people that want to be politicians are usually the worst people.
So you definitely don't want to be in the cities when this goes down. So are you in the city? Or are you just close to the city?
No, I'm in a rural kind of area right now. I'm a few hours away. I have a house in the city, you know, where my kids live. For now, we're gonna move them out of there soon, I think. But yeah, I wouldn't want to. I don't know why I thought I did. I just
well, it was convenient and everything was there at one point. It was fun.
I mean, I just got out of the army, and I'd been stuck inside that machine for 15 years pretty much. And so I didn't really, you know, assumed the Halifax that from 15 years ago was still there. You know, why wouldn't you? Crazy me to think that, you know, it would be similar, mostly the same. No, that did take long to figure out. Even you know, my their mom, you know, my partner at the time,
Mhm.
She was like, she'd lived there for a time too when she was a kid and she was a teenager, and she was like, "This is getting, what is happening around here?" I'm like, "Have you noticed? I've noticed it's getting a little sporty out here."
Mhm.
So yeah, the cities are not desirable
Not where
for
you
at
wanna be.
all, I don't think.
So are you self-sufficient? Do you do any gardening
Oh
or
no,
anything like
I'm
that? No?
ruined. I'm pretty ruined.
Okay. Well, you got I
I've
see firewood there. You got at least that much going
Well,
on.
I mean, yeah, well, it's a generational family home. There's 3 generations living here, there's,
Oh, wow. Congrats.
oh yeah, but I'm here on house arrest as court ordered because otherwise Canada's not safe.
No, your blinking dot is still in the right spot here. I can see it
It
on the
could,
map.
right,
Yeah.
I could, any number of things could happen if I'm allowed to move around and see my children. That would be terrible. I mean, God knows I could say something in public and people could die. That would be terrible.
Oh, man. I feel
So,
bad that you're still locked in that situation. Is there any
it's
is that coming to an end? Like, you don't have to get
no.
into the details, but
No, I've got at least a year or more of this, at least, if
oh,
not
brother.
probably 18 months. We'll see, something like that. But it's yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, no, I've spent most of my everything I had on lawyers and stuff, and I was very fortunate to have the community cover me off a lot of it.
Mhm.
Um, it was a big help, or otherwise it would have been, I would have had to sell the house and use all that money to fund, or I probably wouldn't have it to put my kids through that. But that's the situation, right? Because it's
That's what they're
and
putting you in.
the way Canada works, unfortunately, is that you're only as innocent as you can afford to be.
Correct.
It doesn't matter if you're innocent. Well, you're a paralegal, right? You were saying
Mhm.
it's not a. I mean, I'm pretty cynical by nature, just because I've been alive and paying attention, and it's hard not to be when you see how a lot of things go in this world. But even that was shockingly more just designed to destroy you than I would have
Mhm.
imagined. I mean, I sat there and watched guys just take terrible deals because they were just let me out. They were mentally broken and just wanted out. And we're like, "You're signing away," and they're like, "I don't care, man. Like, I can't win. I can't get a lawyer. I can't even." And it's like, this is predatory. This is
Mhm.
nuts. Like, these guys, don't they deserve a defense? Like, well, they can't afford one, so they can. Oh, they'll get a public defense. These. It's not
It
the
doesn't
same.
work.
They're
No.
not invested in you winning at the same. Not usually. And a lot of lawyers are shitty people too, just like everyone
Mhm.
else. So it's
Mhm.
a crapshoot. And yeah, you got to pay a lot of money, unfortunately, even if especially if you're innocent, if they're coming after you, right? You're not getting away for
Yes.
free. You're gonna have to pay a lot, and it's been substantial. It's the cost of a house I've had to pay.
Yeah,
For
and
this,
and
and I'm
people
defending 5 cases in 3 provinces simultaneously because I'm just that bad.
okay, so you're not taking any deals, you're not looking to settle anything, you're
No,
going
I've
to the
pleaded
court
not
as all the
guilty
way
to
through.
everything already. I'm fighting all of it to the death.
And these are all criminal? Are there any civil as well that you can talk about?
No, not yet.
Okay,
There never,
good.
there
So
could
tho
be someday. I mean, I don't have any today. I don't know, but no, they're
yeah,
all
no,
criminal
because
charges. They're all basically by indictment. They're just straight up. We're sending you to prison forever. We'd give you the electric chair if we still had it. It's lunacy.
no, brother. Now, sorry, I'm gonna kind of take you back to our little timeline here. So now we have
Yeah.
COVID coming. So we got Trump, you're expanding, you went viral a couple of times, you got a bit of an audience going. And then COVID hits, and we all
Mm.
started hearing in early January 2020 this weird thing happening. Did you
I was
start getting
talking
wind of it?
about it in December.
There you go. So yeah, tell me about how you got a wind of it and started talking about it.
I was watching the just again the corners of the internet I've identified over the years of certain places. I don't want to give away my secrets, but like where
Mhm.
I just generally these people are closer to reality, and whatever they're saying, whatever they're drawing attention to, tends to be important. Like I've just kind of learned to, it's like you have so for women, right? You have a certain person that you like to cut your hair because they just do it right.
Right.
It's like
Right.
that. These guys,
Yeah.
they're just better. Um, so there was the stuff, the Chinese stuff was going on. There's people dropping dead in the streets and a bunch of weird, like they were just starting to put these videos out, and which clear now it was a psyop, which
Right.
is mental. It was crazy the stuff, the videos they were showing people. You're basically like bleeding out of the eyes and like going into spasms, and there's hazmat team. It was crazy stuff, and this was in December, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's just," but I was like, "There's something really sinister and alarming about the pace of this." It was, every day it was a bigger problem than it was yesterday. It wasn't like a
Hmm.
Monday and then next week, and it was like this is getting out of control. And then January, February, yeah, it started to get really nuts. That was around the same time. The Omar Khadr thing was right
Yeah.
then. Was that January? So it was right around the same time, and I ended up in Saskatchewan, and when the lockdowns and stuff happened, and I was stuck there for a while. So I was there for a few months, and then decided to stay there for a little while, and just kind of carried on through there. But it was kind of like a interesting time. Everybody wanted to know what the hell was going on. It's
Mhm.
like when something like that happens, like 9/11 or something, but this was the biggest one ever. This was the big time because it was affecting literally the
Everybody.
entire planet. The
Yep.
whole world at the same time is being subjected to the same operation, which had never been done before in my lifetime anyway, that I've seen, or I can't even think of anything to compare this to. It's so ambitious and insane and obvious to so many people, but to too many it isn't. And that just the audience for the pool of people that were interested in politics and shenanigans and lying government people, and is the TV telling the truth, exploded 10 times
Right.
what it was. And now it basically, if Trump kind of birthed the beginning of a populist kind of pushback and resistance, the COVID that was just a dump
Just
truck of
ripped it right out.
gasoline.
Yep.
Yeah, it just now it's really going. Now it's really cooking, and I don't think it can be like we're headed to a confrontation one way or another. Like there's too many people that know things are unacceptable, and
Mhm.
I don't know how you're going to put the toothpaste back in that tube. I don't know what the plan is, and it's like it's out of control. It feels like, and it's like being in a fight in a cage and nobody's winning, where you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen now.
Mhm. And at the
Anything could
beginning,
happen.
were you worried about it at all? Did you think it
Oh
was a
yeah.
serious thing? Yeah.
At first, because the media is the government and the media, people I know that lie, when it suits them,
Mhm.
they were like, no, there's nobody was talking about it at all, which made me be like, but this is clearly a problem. And it was like the things that were being shown were like, this is clearly alarming. And the fact that you've seen this and you don't agree is crazy. So I was like, this is bad. Maybe it's worse than they're saying it's going to be. And then once they accept, okay, I guess there's a virus and whatever. And I was like, at the the data and the stuff that was available at the time, like this is going to kill 5% of the population. This
Right.
is going to
That's what you're
kill
saying. Yeah.
millions of people. This is going to be crazy. And then, but some of my other friends were like going down to these hospitals and saying like, oh, it's crazy. It's madhouse down here in Toronto and Winnipeg and other places. And they're like, it's empty.
Right.
Like, what do you mean it's empty? And they're like, I was there. I was
Yep.
just there. There's nobody in there. No one. I don't mean there's only a couple. I mean, it's a fucking empty building. One of my friends went and we worked at one of these hospitals, filmed the parking lot and inside the same day. CBC ran a fake story about how it was just completely out of control. Oh, it's outside of Winnipeg,
St.
Steinbach.
Boniface, Steinbach, okay. North of
Steinbach,
Winnipeg, yeah.
around there, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And like, oh yeah, it's crazy. And they were like, at the same time, like, no, it's empty. They lied. They just made this up. So I was like, okay, in
Hold on
30
here.
days, because the airports weren't closed, the borders weren't closed, Amazon packages are getting shipped everywhere, and they're saying this thing can live on things for days. I'm like, it's already all over the world now. There's no stopping it. So we have 30 days, because I have some biological warfare training from the military in these, and I get the general ABCs of how this stuff works. I'm not a scientist, but I mean, they give it, this leads to, and the things you can do to mitigate these, and we're not doing any of them. All the things we should have done, we didn't do. So I was like, well, this is just going to be a nightmare now. In 30 days, we're either going to be up to our necks in bodies or nothing's happened and they're full of shit. And then at the end of April, I was like, well, looks like it's bullshit. Where's the dead bodies? And I was going that every day. I had a little counter on my screen on my layout. It was like days without, or how many people have been killed. And it's like none still. And I was like, still don't know a single person that's died from this. And I still don't. I don't know anyone in my life. I do know a lot of people that have taken their own lives, though.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that have since been crippled, paralyzed, and otherwise had their health maimed or destroyed or died around the time or after getting these vaccines. I do know that. So,
well, let me take a moment to let everybody know that on June 26th at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, I'll have Dr. Mackus on. So he's going to be explaining to us about injuries and how they're being hidden. Are you familiar with who Dr. Mackus is?
No, I don't know that guy's name specifically.
Well, he had his license taken away because he's been talking about it. Everything's been stripped from him. His whole career's over, and he's still talking about it. He's been pushing the whole vaccine injury problem that he's been discovering. So we'll be going into detail about that one. Yeah, thanks.
What I would be interested in, not for my behalf, obviously, but for others, I think this is something that at this stage is something people are looking for, because there's definitely a quiet acceptance that things are not what they seem with this vaccine now. That's pretty much everyone knows, whether they say it out loud or not, they're thinking about it when they go to sleep at night. So what they're looking for now is doctors that can be like, well, how do I mitigate this? Is there any way I can fix this or make it less horrible, or what is there anything? They need to be looking into that, because that's going
to need an antidote. They want something to fix.
If that is even possible, I don't know, but I would be that would be all I cared about at that point. So there's probably millions of people that have that on their mind 24/7. So the first crew of doctors to figure that out is, you guys are going to be on a rocket ship somewhere.
Okay, I'll ask.
Or assassinated. I don't know. Good luck.
Right, because if they're the ones telling the truth.
Welcome to the world that we live in. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're at COVID. We're now there's no bodies in the street. News is starting to come out through your own network. You're getting like some real information. It's contradicting the main narrative. You're not surprised. They're not doing the things that they should be doing if it was a massive contagion going around, and you know that, and you can see all of these signs. Okay, and now we start getting into mandates and vaccine, and people first it came off very nice. Hey, we got it. Go and get it. Great grandma and grandpa get it, and everybody got it.
That was interesting as well. We had this conversation with my dad, because he works in manufacturing. He has this for a whole life, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
So he understands supply chains, logistics, times. From when it's made here, got to get shipped to there, cured here, fixed there. The assembly lines and this kind of stuff. And he's like, and he's real good with numbers. He's really hockey stats and plus so he's doing the math here, and they're on TV. Canada has secured a bajillion, fillion, zazillion doses of vaccine. And he's, and every country's doing this. And he's like, so you're telling me a virus that we just found out about, and, how long does it take? He looked at it, like, how long does it normally take to develop and research and test and build a vaccine? 7 to 10 years. But you did it in 6 months. And 5 different companies all did it at the same time. And you're all sharing the secret recipe. And you all somehow have such an advanced production capacity that you could make billions of doses. All of this happened within 6 months. Bullshit.
Well, the AIDS community said, why didn't you do that for us?
I was like, it just got scarier as it went. It was becoming more and more obvious. I was, I knew I wasn't getting a vaccine straight away. I was like, there's no way. I'm like, I'm going 5 years, because I'm like, I'm 35, 36 at the time, 37 now. So whatever I would have been, I'm pretty good shape. I'm pretty healthy. I have no immune disorder. I have people have I'm allergic to the sun or whatever it is. Yeah. No, I'm pretty hard to kill. So I'm not going to just take this because I'm scared, I'll take my chances. And then they're like, here's the numbers. If you're, I looked it up, somebody of my age and so on. And it's like, your chances of dying, I'm more likely to get hit by lightning than I am to die from this fucking virus. So like, I'm not taking an experimental injection you just vented today for something that it's not going to kill me. That's stupid. That's dumb. I'm not doing that. And they're like, you're an anti-vaxxer. I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. And I encourage other people. I was like, I don't trust this. What's it doing 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? You're going to be alive that long? What's going to happen? I've seen enough. And then I also said my own personal experience with the mefloquine poisoning that we had in the military. They said, take this, it's safe. It'll keep you from getting malaria. Oh, by the way, it turns out it also melts your brain stem.
Oh, geez.
So there's a problem, right? And they're fighting the government in court on that. And that's still ongoing. So it's like, don't just take things and say, oh, no, they said it's fine. You can trust them. No, you literally cannot trust them at all. So that's crazy. And then everything it just got worse from there. And it stopped being, oh, it's there if you want it. I mean, what a miracle. Which became, okay, guys, seriously, come get it. It's here. No, come get it. Come get it, or we're going to come get you and make you get it. It just got crazier and crazier. So I was like, it was, it's like, dating a girl or something. And you're like, I think she might be nuts. And it's like every drink she has, her eyes start getting further apart. And you're like, yep, she's crazy. I'm getting out of here. It wasn't coming back the other way. It wasn't like it's hard to tell. It just started red flags. And then we went down a roller coaster of, red flag banners for about 3 years. And people were still like, oh, you think they're lying? Oh boy. I don't know.
Well, yeah, at first they're like, hey, come get it for free. Then you have to get it. And then, do you like to travel? Do you like to work? Do you like hospitals?
So many people got that. Well, they just threaten, which they like, I just, it's probably because of my conditioning in the military and stuff. Like I was certainly not like, I wanted to be the kind of person that I became. And that's why I went through the military to do that, because I knew I was soft and weak, and I didn't like that about myself, and I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be, tougher. I don't want to be like this. How do I do that? This seems like a good way to do that. So that's what I did. But a lot of people didn't see this for what it was. Like, this is intimidation.
Yes.
When somebody tries to intimidate me, it makes me angry. It's like, oh, we're fighting, are we? Okay, I know how to deal with that. I know what that is. I know how to play those games. And people were like, oh, you better do it, or we're going to make sure you can't travel anymore. And they should have said, I'm sorry, who the hell are you? You don't tell me where I can and can't go because I'm not taking your magic medicine. Magic medicine, man. Do you hear yourself? You're insane. Instead, they went, okay, don't take things away from me. And I went, oh, okay. They're just scared of you. Right. You've just intimidated and beat these people down. And okay. So that's where the FYM, I don't have my hat with me, but fuck you make me came from, right? And I was like trying to sell this attitude of like, you don't just go, oh, you don't say it's not, I politely decline, sir. It was, come make me do it. Because you have to commit to that, because they're going to push hard and they're going to threaten you with all kinds of things, and it's going to get scary. And if you're not like religiously committed to this, you might cave. Do you want to cave? And you're like, no, I definitely don't. Well, then you have to say yes, say yes to the dress, get married to, this is never happening, and they'll have to kill me. Right. And that's what it was. And we stuck together and we locked arms. We're like, come get us then. We're not doing it. And, that was kind of how the community was born out of that, was just kind of shared, like, we just, took comfort in the fact that we existed. And I would say, wherever you're at, there's somebody in your town, there's somebody 10 minutes from your house. You don't even know who they are, but they think exactly like you do. You should find each other. And then you can go back to, he can watch your back and you can watch his. And now there's two. Maybe you find some more friends. And now, things get easier that way. But if you're going to try and go through this hall of mirrors and gaslighting and craziness, and maybe we'll lock you at a grocery stores, maybe we'll take your kids, like, you want to go out there by yourself? Are you insane? I don't. I've been to some crazy places, and I'm telling you, out there is up. It's getting onto my radar of sketchy.
And now we're getting through the year, and we're getting close to holiday time, and they start telling you, make sure that you don't have the unvaxxed at your house. Make sure that you're wearing masks.
Rachel. Shout out to her career, by the way.
Yeah, right on. Go global. We actually liked them for a moment there. Yeah, and she it's weird. I'm just going to kind of sideline. She just started saying online, screw the media. They shouldn't have laid people off. It's like, okay, now you're in, you're going through.
She's like, oh, these corporate bastards. And I'm like, now the rich people are bad, huh? Gee, I could have told you that. I tried to tell you that, but you chose to ignore me and lie about me anyway. She asked me a whole pile of questions. I answer. She went, there's no gotchas in here. Delete. Went back to typing bullshit. It's like, that's what they're like,
you gave
man.
her an interview?
Oh yeah, a bunch. There's a bunch of people I could throw under the bus from CBC, Grant LaFleche, Toronto Sun or Toronto Star, Toronto Star. There's another guy that's Toronto. There's a bunch of them, and I've done phone interviews. Like they'll email me questions. I'll write them back so you can call me. Whatever, and just nothing gets run. Not a word gets printed. Nothing, or there's no story at all. And it's like, you sent me 20 questions that must have taken a half an hour, 45 minutes. And these are professional journalists. They've got things to do. And then you're not even gonna, gee, I wonder what I said, or didn't say. They were looking for things to make me look worse. And if there's nothing that makes me look worse, they just throw it in the trash. And that's how they operate, because it's not honest journalism. It's an arm of the manipulation machine. It's just there to, keep the audience distracted. And if it doesn't suit their needs, they don't do it.
Well, I appreciate you giving an independent journalist a little bit of time, and thank you very much for that.
That's pretty much the only people I talk to. You seemed like an adult. I was like, okay, this guy might be all right. Yeah, so I was like, sure, fine.
Don't let that get out. I don't want to ruin my reputation.
Oh, it's ruined now. You're talking to me. It's over, dude. It's over.
Oh boy, the hate that came.
Your bank is not going to be. You're out of your bank by Monday for sure. When they find out about this, I'm going to call them right now. Which one are you with? Scotiabank, they love me.
Yeah, I saw that Phillip doesn't like them either on his Twitter.
He doesn't. He hates bankers. He always has. Yeah, he's very.
So now they're separating families. We're going through Christmas. It's a horrible thing. We can't go to the small stores. We can go to the big box only if you're vaxxed and masked. And now we're getting into the second year of it. We're talking about things like in Australia, they were talking about COVID camps. And rounding up people. And now we're looking around our neighbors and they're calling everybody in saying too many visitors here. And you were out 2 minutes too late. And now we're in a real nanny state. What was your mind around that time? Were you
I was terrified.
Really frustrating?
It was frustrating, but it was more terrifying, and not in the situation was any reason to be afraid now. It was that this was confirmation of where we're going. And it, I would say on my show, I use a lot of metaphors and stuff, I think because of the brain damage and because I'm insane. I don't know, but it was like the highway of life, you know, and it's like next exit communism or something, right? And, you know, we're driving along and then, you know, the driver turns the signal light on and you're like, what are you doing? And then the car starts drifting towards the other lane. You're like, what are we going on the off ramp to communism? Yeah. You know, I don't want to go there. That sucks. Yeah. That's a bad place. That's where people get murdered and disappeared and hungry and all kinds of this other stuff. You know, it's bad. And I've studied a lot of those regime, and they're all the same. It's a very similar. It's just power hungry. You're going to do what we say, or we're going to hurt you kind of mentality. And that's what was taking over. And it was just took people like that. The TV justified it and they went along with it. And I was like, they will kill you. These people will round you up and kill you. Your own neighbors will kill you, or they'll look the other way while it happens and they'll justify it to themselves why it was okay, because they're doing it. They're already going through the process. It's like watching somebody do heroin for the first time. And it's like, see you later. Like they're not, if they've gone this far, they're going all the way.
They're gone.
Because they should have stopped already and said, what are you doing to my That's my neighbor. That's Jerry. Why are you're taking him away? Why? What are you doing? Like, you fired him? Like, what? Over this? Like, that's supposed to be the reaction. And instead it was, well, good. He was one of those anti-vaxxers. Right. I saw it on Rachel Gilmore. Didn't you see what they're doing? And they've become these crazy, brainwashed zombie psycho people. And now they're all in denial that this even happened. Like, oh, we never forced anybody. He's like, you were foaming at the mouth, demanding people not be given food, man. Like, what's worse? Just shoot them. When you're like, take their food away, you're this close to let's just kill them. Do you not like read a book? You know, it's right there. When you psychologically made it okay that, yes, these people should not be allowed to eat. We should impede their access to food. You're very close to being mentally just writing off. I don't care if the government kills them all. And you're watching this happen. And I'm like, we are not going to have this country's not going to succeed, unfortunately. Because it's just, there's too many soft people. And it works on soft people, weak people that need their government nanny state to survive. They don't know how to do it on their own. So they've just completely given themselves up to it's like whatever this thing wants to do, they're going to do it. And that's human nature. 80% of people are designed to just follow the rules of whatever the powerful institution is. And they're all like showing their Hitler pictures. And it's like, oh, if the Nazis can say, shut up. Whoever is in charge, if Dracula showed up and took over the country and said, this is what we do now, all of you people would be doing it. You might not like it, but you're going to do it because you're going to do whatever the powerful person says, because that's who you are. That's what kind of person you are. If you don't like it, don't be that person. But that's the fact. If that's what it is today, that's who you are today. Be somebody else tomorrow then if you don't like it.
Yeah, no, Dracula died. He can't take vaccinated blood. So it didn't work out for him.
Did he die?
He's gone. He's gone. He can't get any good blood.
This is not good. Yeah. No. Feasting on people and getting sicker. He's like, what's happening? Bill Gates is a hero. He saved us from Dracula. This is what had to happen, guys.
Always
I've been trying to defeat Dracula my entire life, and this was the only logical way.
How much blood do you have? 0 blood. Oh. He's done. So now we're in Christmas. Everybody hates each other, families and all, because nobody got together anymore.
It was scary. That was the rough time.
Yeah, supply chains are all over the place. We don't know what's going on with China. There's a little bit of stuff kicking off. Russia is starting to go around another country. All this stuff is happening. And then they decide, well, let's just go ahead and mandate vaccines on truckers and really screw that up. And that announcement comes out. And then we went, huh? I'm sorry, what? These were the heroes for the last 2 years that were out there moving everything when we had to lock down. And now we want to make their lives difficult. And then we get a video from the border, and everything started to kick off from there.
Can you imagine what would have happened if there was no convoy? Would I even be alive right now? You know what I mean? That's how significant that was. That threw the biggest wrench into the chain of I've ever seen, and it was incredible. It was the most glorious thing I've ever seen, and probably ever will see. I hope not, but it's dawned on me a couple times that I was like, I will probably never have that much fun again, and I'll probably never be that thrilled to be alive again, because that was just, that's I've again, not a I mean, lots of people have, been in positions and things that I've done, so I'm not special in that way. But when you've been on the edge of human existence, where there's bullets flying past your head and people are getting blown up and whatever, I'm familiar with what intense emotional experiences feel, and I'm like, I don't think that's got to be up there. What else? That was crazy. It's like your whole tribe of the whole country's there. It seemed. I mean, pretty much, right? Almost. And there, for every person that was there was 10 that wanted to be there and couldn't be there. Millions of people all across every overpass I drove under. There was hundreds of people, but it was like when we got sent off to war, there wasn't that much enthusiasm. So it was like, this is
real.
It really, for a little while, it was a proud thing, man. I was really, really proud of those people, man.
I still remember that, it makes me feel really nice every time,
because it was just what everybody had to do finally, and just like, no, fuck you, make us, and in the millions, and that was it. The whole world, Canada was the center of the world, and that's all it took was a bunch of people saying fuck this, and all of a sudden, your world news, every other government in the world starts shitting their pay. Other countries started doing the same thing. The Dutch started doing it. The Brazilian, the Americans were trying. It was like that's how quickly and easily that happened. That really scared the pants off of them. And that's because the proliferation of social media has drawn the world so much something crazy. If it's worth people's attention, can happen in Bangkok. I can find out about it in 2 minutes or live, and there. It's unprecedented in human existence. How do you deal with that? That creates a kind of a hive mind of the peasant class now, which if it figures out how to, or if it figures out its identity of like, I'm the slave, this is bad, it's over. So they have to stop that at all costs. There can be no awareness to what the true state of affairs. It's like the man behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz. It's like they're very powerful because they have their hands on the controls, but you could just knock them over. That would be it. We outnumber these people by like millions to one. You know what I mean? It's not,
And when you're watching the news at that point, CBC was talking about the truck convoy in BC, which was 10 little trucks and had a little tiny convoy. So you look up trucker convoy, that's what they're reporting. And this convoy is now making its way through Manitoba, making its way through Ontario, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. And then it arrives and sets up shop. It's like a big party. Bouncy castles and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
we're not seeing people storm the hill. We're not seeing like a Jan 6 type of thing. By the way, that was not what it seems to be.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
The FBI, the government attacked itself again, and now you're the again. Jesus, happens a lot in America, especially, doesn't it?
Yeah. Why can't people figure this out? Because they're too busy watching TV. Yeah. So now it rolls in, and it's not violent. People aren't going crazy. It's not taking over the Parliament Hill. It sinks in for a few days. The first weekend, it was kind of just setting up. Yeah. And then the city starts saying things like bouncy castles can't be there, and this is a problem. And the mayor starts coming out with some statements. Do you remember how that started to turn at that point, where it was they're not going to talk. They have no intention to talk.
Yeah. What happened was there was a naivety that existed that I definitely isn't there as much anymore. Yeah.
That they would have talked, right?
Yes, because I was very bitter. Like, I'm like that guy. If it's a war movie, it's like I'm the guy that's like should have retired a few years ago, and I just chain smoked now. I'm that guy I mentioned earlier, where he's like, they're just gonna fucking kill all of you anyway, Yeah. I was just, but I was so happy to see all that. But I was like, guys, here's what's gonna happen. All right, they're eventually gonna run out of options, and they're just gonna beat the shit out of everybody and throw you all in jail. And like, they can't do that. I'm like, yes, they can, and they will. No, they won't. You're spreading fear and division. I'm like, no, I'm trying to prepare you for what is going to happen to you. You need to mentally prepare and understand what you're up against, because you think there's a bunch of just confused politicians, and if we just come together and we have a talk and an understanding, and they hate you.
Right.
This is the most irritating thing they've ever seen, and they hate you. They don't want to help you at all. All they're doing is trying to find a way to make this go away as quickly and cleanly as possible. And when no one gave them anything, and that's what we knew, right? Everyone knew this instinctively because of what happened in the States. And I was careful to, repeat a lot. And this was just across the board. I had nothing to do with the leadership at all. I was just a guy that was going there, and I happened to have a slightly bigger microphone than some of the other people that were going there. And some other people had much bigger ones than I did. But for whatever reason, well, for political reasons, they singled me out, kind of targeted me. But I said, don't even throw a snowball. Don't even speed. Don't even spit on the ground. Don't do anything. If it says no walking over 2 kilometers an hour, then you walk 1 kilometer an hour. You know what I mean? Don't give them anything, because anything at all, they're going to use it to stick their finger in the armor, and they're going to rip the whole thing right open. It's going to be ridiculous, but it's all they need. And for weeks, there was nothing, and it was, but they'll find a way in.
Yeah. So we heard in your POEC testimony that you paid for parking.
I did, yeah. I was staying outside the city, right? So I would drive in my pickup truck, and I would find somewhere. Like there was lots of places to park. It's just not right downtown. There was Wellington Street, and then there's like Slater goes down and there's a few. So probably like 4 or 5 blocks. If you're willing to walk 6 blocks, there was lots of places to park, but most people aren't. I mean, I see them all the time. They'll park right next to the doors at Walmart, because the idea of parking they'll circle the parking lot looking for a spot near the door, because the idea of walking an extra 100 meters is, crazy. So I didn't care. I was like, I walked for a living for 15 years, for a day. How many days of walking is it to get there? 17 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's delightfully not very many. I'll fucking park here. So I parked and walked there mostly, and I would go back to it and leave and go, or I would stay at a hotel or wherever. I mean, there was stuff going on every night. It was incredible, and it was like a Viking feud. I'm glad that it happened, because I think a lot of people are going to need those memories in the future to know, like, that's who we are and that's where we came from. That's going to be the defining moment of like what this country is and what, because it's like it's heading down into the toilet right now. But that was a great, we'll always have that.
Now,
may have been a Viking funeral in the end, but.
Now, initially, you can't really blame the truckers for thinking that they could have had an impact and they were going to get a meeting, because we just went through a year of BLM and other type of protests where they did have action. They did get to talk, and they did get concessions from the government. So we got to watch that for a year, the year before, the whole summer, everything got burnt up. And then this is a push, and we're like, okay, well, let's go out there and have our say and talk to our government too. So a weekend now, you took the pulse. These guys are not talking to you. Not a
I knew right away. I knew there was going to be a confrontation, though, because of the mechanisms that were being in play. Like, this wasn't. I don't like to go to a lot of protests. I just don't. I don't see the tactical value a lot of the time. Sometimes it's like, well, we're just here to signal for other people, so then they know we're in the area. They try and see, and we can gain, more people that way. Okay, sure, if that's your reasoning. But a lot of times it's like, we're gonna go stand outside this empty building with our signs and chant things to a building that no one's in and no one can. Like, that's pointless. They want you. They don't mind if you do that, because it doesn't bother them at all. You need to bother them for them to move. You have to make them uncomfortable so they'll do something. And I was saying, you need to force a tyrant to act like one. You have to put them in a position where they have to choose the hammer. So we can prove that, because I was saying, like, that's the kind of person they are. And people say, oh, no, you're just cynical and black-pilled. And I'm like, no, trust me. Wait till you see what's under the hood. Wait till you see when the mask comes off. So it's like, put the hammer on the table and see if they reach for it. And they do. And they did. And they will do it again and again. So people are like, see, I told you. There was no need of that. But they saw it and they went for it, and they used it, and they cracked that egg with that hammer as fast as possible. What if they went to the nuclear? Well, we need martial law, right? And they did that because there was no other way. They were forced into it, and the options were, we're going to have to take an L and say, all right, yeah, we're going to have to acknowledge people are upset. What they should have done was done that and said, provide us some representatives. We're going to have a grace period. This is what we're going to ask for. We're going to set a date and a time. We're going to provide, but you guys this has to stop. But we're committed to, like, we're going to work on this. And there was nothing. Nobody came out. And if it was me, just because I'm crazy, but it would have been a crazy show of force. It would have been just a big dick move to just walk out of Parliament with like a minimal security force. The Prime Minister just walks out, gets up on the crane, goes, "What's up, guys? What can I do? Tell me what's going on."
BLM.
Right? Tell me what's going on, right? But they weren't a hostile crowd, and they know it, right? But he knows it. But that would have been, my jaw would still be broken from when it hit the ground if he'd done that. I would have been so floored at the balls and the command presence to do something like that, because that's something like in the Army. That would not be super uncommon to see. Sometimes that kind of guy just walks right into the gunfire, and he's like, "Let's go, let's start fixing problems," and you're like, "Wow." That guy is in charge for a reason, and
Mhm.
he didn't do that. They didn't do any of those things. So it was just
No.
they're looking for a weaselly way out, and they're going to find scapegoats, and they're going to pin it on Pete. And they did everything I expected them to do, and more.
Yeah, I was
But
about to
we
ask you
even went
that 'cause
further than I would have thought.
yeah.
So I think
So
I think people were naive as to what kind of people they were up against, and the inquiry proved a lot after the fact. It's like, oh, we
mhm,
investigated ourselves, and we were amazing, and you were all terrorists. It wasn't. It was supposed to be an inquiry into the government's actions, but
mhm,
what it was an inquiry into the participants and what crimes did they or did they not commit. I watched
right.
some of it, and I understand, since I've been out, right, and I was like, this is who's on trial here? Is it Pat King or is it the Canadian government? Because it seems like it's not the government, and that was, we know what the result of that was.
Yeah, and we streamed that entire thing, so we actually watched
Mm.
every minute of it, including your interview. But we will get to that in a second. So at this
Great time.
time, yeah, at this time you are thinking, okay, this is going to end bad because they're not going to really listen. They're not
I
going
was
to do
hoping
anything.
nobody was going to get killed, and
Right.
that was my concern. I'm like, God, I hope they don't kill anybody, but I feel like it's could happen, and it's a miracle
Yep.
they didn't. It's
Yeah, I was
miraculous.
sent.
I saw people get struck with M4 carbines with the safety off, guaranteed. There's a round in the chamber, knowing these idiot cops, and they're doing it barrel end first. It's like that. If you know anything about rifles or that one specifically, the bolt and action group is to the rear
It
with the
could
safety
hit
off
back.
and easily dissing. Ba bang! It happens all the time if you slam it right. You can.
Mhm.
And this is, I'd see that and go, ooh, and there's another person getting trampled by. Are they dead? Like
Yeah.
this is crazy. The level of violence was something you would have seen out of Russia, right? And I watched it all live. A lot of my friends were there. I mean, I was there, but I stayed out of the last time. I was told, some of the friends, they're gone. They've been since banished, right? But they were cops at the time, and they were like, "Don't come downtown. They're looking for you." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're literally on a board of people to capture here." Like
Wow.
an HVT. Like if they see you, you're going to jail, and you might be in there for a long time. And I was like, I better maybe I'll sit this part out. And then the cops came through and did what they did. And I told them, I was like, this is what's going to happen. I was giving people updates. Like they're here. They've got 500 riot cops that just flew in last night. You're spreading division, man. No, man, I'm trying to tell you the truth. And when you have government operatives like BJ Dichter show up with the public safety minister's former campaign staff of the Liberal Party together, and they're like, we're in charge now. Like this is going sideways, guys. You need to
Mhm.
prepare for a bad outcome. I'm just telling you the weather. That's it. Like, don't get mad at me
Right.
for it, right? What am I supposed to not pass this on? Who am I? Am I some kind of dickhead? I was the one that put out the WhatsApp photos of all those cops celebrating all the beatings and tramplings, how much fun it was. That was me that put that out there. And Kean Bexty and Rebel News, all these people took it and ran with it. And like, oh, we've got an exclusive. They never told you where it came from, right?
Mhm.
And the guy that's still being attacked and fucked around by the same RCMP that I've been going back and forth with them for years, saying stuff and showing people the horrible things they're doing, and then they come back and take another shot at me. This has been going on for a while, and that's I'm like, I understand you guys have a job to do and you're newsmen and whatever, but some people are paying the price for these things, and it's not you, but you feel entitled to all the money though. So that's cute.
So this shit's going down in Ottawa, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to pause Ottawa for a second because something's going down in Coots, Alberta. So they're blocking a border down there, and then all of
Yep.
a sudden, a bag of guns pop up, and then all of a sudden, a vest, and then all of a sudden, a little badge on one of the
Yeah.
vests. And then all of a
Yep.
sudden, we learn who you are. Tell me about what that was like for you to learn that there was a badge in Alberta, and then all of a sudden, you are like center stage.
I think I did pretty good under the circumstances. I did
Yeah.
pretty good. I had Reuters calling me, like all internet, Daily Mail, United Kingdom. I was on the phone for 2 days talking to people, being like, listen, and very few of them printed anything that I said, and the ones that did would like take, it was a
Mhm.
frustrating experience, but I was like, look, they asked, it's worth a shot, I guess. If I say no comment, that looks bad. I have
Right.
to. What am I going to do, right? I didn't know anything more than what was being reported in the news. I knew that there was
Right.
people out there and so on, and but that was about it. And then there was like, yeah, they're getting arrested out there, and all this is going on, and we're like, oh, here it begins, right? It's beginning,
Mhm.
and then that story comes up, and immediately they started coming out. They threw me in there,
Yep.
so I was like,
Yep.
oh,
So
I see
before
what's
then,
going
you
on.
weren't really part of it. You were in the edge. You were kind of around, but before then, we
Well,
didn't hear about you.
they the Anti-Hate Network, which is just great, they'd been astroturfing this narrative about me for about 3 years.
Okay.
Prior to that, or two years prior to that, at least, heavily in the previous year. They've been building this story this terrorist, militia commander and his army of, all of this kind of stuff. And I'd been leaning into it, deliberately kind of throwing them red herrings and stuff to see what I could make them do. And, it was fun. Assuming that when the media, more professional media, and especially law enforcement stuff, if they start looking at this, they're going to go, I expect them to investigate, but I also expect them to go, oh, for God's sakes, he's screwing with you. Do you not see what he said? Like, come on. You're riling people up for nothing. But that's not what happened. They just went copy paste. No one thought about anything, and it went all the way up to the top of the mountain. And I'm watching the public safety minister, senators, members of parliament, all this. One of them was like, "Oh, I've seen this before. This is definitely. I'm absolutely certain." I'm like, "What are you doing?" So you're just, and now I'm knowing, and only I and other people like Alex. And other people that were intimately, like we know what we did and what we were doing and what we didn't do, are watching the most powerful people in our country read a script about us that's completely shit on television to the whole country. And we're just like, I don't even know. We just laughed for like 10 minutes. I had no other reaction other than I knew they were dumb, and I knew this was a lazy kind of like hack operation compared to a real serious country, but I didn't think it was this outrageous. You're declaring what, and they're basically framing this up like there's an imminent terrorist threat from the Diagolon people. I'm like, this is not real, dude. This isn't a real country. There is no militia. There's no force projection. There's no threat at all. What are you talking about? And they're like, so it was crazy to watch them say that about you live on TV. Is like, it was like, here's a conspiracy for you. Did you ever see, you remember the Boston bombing?
Yep.
There was one of the brothers, or was it that one? Or see, I'm mixing them up now, but there was one guy who was like, he found out he did it because he saw himself on TV while he was eating and was like, and he just boogied, it was one of those moments where you're like, oh shit, you immediately know what's going to happen, right? It's like, I'm the fall guy here. Oh no, that's not good. Right. Or, I guess he didn't get the text message at the time, but like Lee Harvey Oswald or something. It's like,
crap. I'm sorry, what? Yeah.
It's like the people that you thought were on your team all of a sudden turn their guns on you, and it's like there's only one reason why they would do that. Like, I'm the fall guy, crap, So I was like, well, all you can do is just lean into it. I'm not going to run away, so I'm just going to enjoy the ride and feel like, yeah, I guess this is what's happening now. It's pretty crazy, and there's been no real desire to look into that. And I've had a few people ask for interviews. Rebel News was one of them, and I worked on the story with him for like 10 days, right up until the day before the interview, the evening before. I was supposed to be a 1-hour spot live, I think. And I had all these footage, all the clips of all the senators and the members of parliament, the public safety minister, and all of this talking. And they were like, this is insane. And I'm like, yeah, I thought so. I thought so too. And the night before they went, you know what? Something's come up. We'll have to get back to you. And obviously they never got back to me. And no one else it was just, you can't sell this story to anybody. And it's like, does no one appreciate that the Canadian Federal Intelligence Service, people are supposed to keep us safe from terrorists, ISIS, the Chinese, they're hunting this.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
I'm not making that up. This is what
No.
they're hunting. Like, that's scary. Like, when you're done laughing, you're like, okay, that's funny. Okay. But seriously, we have the most incompetent, inept buffoons imaginable, or they're completely they don't even care. It's just a political Stasi operation to defeat their enemies. And they're not even paying attention to any of the real, like, that's a story, guys. That's a problem. That's a problem. That'd be like if the FBI declared war on Kyrgyzstan. You're like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And it's almost like we get a pass because people are like, oh, it's Canada. Of course, they're retarded. Why would they? Man.
So
sorry, guys. America got J6. You got this. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, we had bouncy castles and hot tubs. So, yeah. Totally awesome.
We are the Trailer Park Boys is only a 20% exaggeration in this country, and that's not something to be proud of.
So now all the members are arguing and they're debating the use of the Emergency Act. Now, I remember the video. They were in a bunker secure somewhere, right? Because right? That's where they were arguing that because
I was trying to find them. I had my Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle and I was all cammed up in the woods with my night vision, but I couldn't get a fix on them, but I was there.
Well, there's 250 RCMP officers around Trudeau when he was camping or out of thing. 250.
Looking for me. Like, he's out there somewhere. Yeah.
He's got the camo. So they're actually in the building that's supposed to be under siege in the city that's been taken taken over, and everybody's now talking about things like honk honk means Heil Hitler, and we're getting comments like that.
Yeah.
To
be honest, I never saw that once. I mean, I keep tabs on many facets of
It's
the
horrible.
internet and the dark ones too, right? I see it all. I never saw that once anywhere. I didn't see anyone ever suggest that honk honk was secretly code for Heil Hitler. The first and only time I've ever seen it came out of that woman's mouth. So it's something I can only imagine Barbara Perry told her to say, or some other fat moron at the Anti-Hate Network dreamed up as a brilliant talking point. Maybe Bernie Farber. He likes to lie. You know, he said, hey, there's anti-Semitic flyers all over town. I seen it. No, that was in Florida. Weeks ago, Bernie, and you knew that. So you're just deliberately making stuff up. These people, man. Oh,
yeah. No. Speaking of, only saw it once. We saw that one flag once. The one picture taken on the first hour on the first day by CBC, and never saw it again.
And they focused on it so much because that was their baby. That was what they really wanted to hit home. Because otherwise, it's a boring story. No one cares. Like, so what did he do? There was a guy with a flag. Like, did he kill somebody? Like, did he have a gun? Why are we talking about this? Still stupid. Well, we know why.
February 14th, 2022. Yeah, 22. He comes out and says, yeah, my birthday. He comes out and says, yeah, he goes, I'm going to put the boots on your head now. So now all of this starts breaking.
And now, Canada,
be my Valentine. Boot.
Happy Valentine's Day. Die.
Yeah. He didn't get a card. That's what happened. He woke up that morning. Nobody put a thing in his little slot. It was empty.
Everyone's getting cold this Christmas.
That's it. Valentine's Day is canceled. It's over.
Yeah.
So he comes out and he says, okay, I got a bunch of boots for you guys. You're going to leave or what? Now what's the mood? What's the mood? People are starting to take this
disbelief. I didn't think they thought. I was like, dude, they're here. They're going to do it. He's not bluffing. I knew he wasn't bluffing because I knew that, like, these cops was talking. He was like, yeah, there's 500 guys here, and they're shipping guys in from all over the country, all over Canada. Police forces from literally all hands on deck. Anybody that wants to go and beat people's heads in, show up, and they did
all the way across.
And all the other cops are like, well, I didn't go. No, you just picked up the shift for that guy so he could go beat those heads in all those women. Aren't you a hero? Aren't you a great? It's like, no, I just helped them on the rail car. I didn't kill them. Like, oh, good for you. Good for you. You hero, you know. Yep, they were coming. So I knew it was, and it was just kind of like, well, if people didn't really know what to do, and what can you do in that situation? I mean, if they were militant about it in the sense that we're going to really make it impossible for you to dislodge this, there's lots of things they could have did, but the will just wasn't there. And I don't think they really took it as, it's like, are you willing to die? Because they might kill you, man. Like, this is how serious this is when you threaten their power. And it was like, if this continued, the government would have collapsed, without question. And it was that close to happening. So to them, like to us, it seems like an extreme measure, and it is. I'm not saying it's not, but from their perspective, it's like, it's this or we die, because we're all going down. If this doesn't stop, they're going to tear us to pieces. Because it's this first, and then there's the tribunals, and then there's the. I don't think so. No. Crush this. Make this go away. Because if you give them this, we're sorry. Then what happens? It's like, well, now you're being charged for crimes against humanity. Now you're being charged for charter breaches, and you're going to be charged. Like, they know what they've done. So if you think they're going to just throw their hands up and surrender,
no chance.
You've got a cornered animal. Expect it to bite you, and it did.
Well, it's kind of what kind of started it. We were the caged corner animal at the beginning,
and
I was annoyed because they're bringing in everybody from like Vancouver all the way from the east, bringing them in, and they're bringing in the ones that are willing to do this, and they already know what kind of people they have. They're selecting the ones that got vaxxed and the ones that will comply, and then they're bringing them over.
The good boy points.
Yeah, so Canada was kind of watching this for real through streamers. So there was like Viva Fry, and there was Zot, and there was a Travel 69. There was a few of them.
There's a few great ones.
Yeah, and we were watching Zot, which was a young guy. And he was just walking up, and he walked up to a checkpoint, and he's like, hey, I want to go over there. And like, no, you can't. Yeah. And then he crosses the street, and he gets another cop, and then live, we see them like tackle him and take him away.
It's funny. One of the clips they used to try and paint me as a crazy person in the legal process and the media and stuff was one of the videos I made directly after that, where I'm just like, I was pretty heated,
No,
like, you fucking scumbags, you motherfucker. And I had just spent the day watching two of the friends that I made down there who were wonderful women, Monique Leal and Kristen Nagel. They live streamed the whole thing, and I listened to their screaming and crying as they were beaten by police, kicked, punched, hit with batons, rubber bullets, tear gas, all of that. And I'm just listening to it and watching it. Like, and I watched my friend Chris Deering, who's a crippled veteran. The guy's been blown half to hell. They're lucky he's even alive, and he's on the ground getting booted, stomped on, kicked, had his medals ripped off and broken, lost one of them, never got it back. And I was like, but and I'm the bad guy. Does anybody ask why I was so angry? Roll the tape. Can we roll the tape, Jamie? Play the tape, Jamie. You know, I wish I had that ability to just snap my fingers and show that. But most people haven't even seen that video because CBC knows about it. They didn't play it. My favorite thing was in the Fifth Estate piece that they used to attack me and Pat King mostly for some reason. Oh, and Bowder and his wife. I don't know them either. They seem kind of. It was a stressful time for everybody, right? But I was like, I'm not coming down to your stupid interview. What do you think? I'm stupid? I was on the phone with her for 45 minutes, just cutting her in half, you know? And she's like, don't you want to be on the Fifth Estate? And I was like, I'm on TV all the time. I don't, you know, just being this arrogant on purpose, right? Just egging her on. And I was like, the only people that watch your show are 78 years old, Jillian. And she's like, are you disparaging old people? And I'm like, no, just you. You know, you're all... Went back and forth. And then eventually she used like 5 seconds of that whole exchange. She was recording the call, never told me. It was all greased, you know. So she was trying to get me to say something crazy too, and I knew what she was doing. So it was pretty obvious. Within 5-10 minutes, I'm like, oh, I see what this is. So I just tried to make it as crazy as possible. She used a 5-second clip of me saying, I don't respect you. I don't respect this news organization. I'm not coming to your stupid interview. And then they were like, and he's on a goat farm and he's out of control. I'm like, and then one of the clips they used was the horse that was about to trample numerous people, including an indigenous elder woman on a mobility scooter, like a crippled native woman. Really? Of all the fucking things of a police horse to step on. And it had to be a crippled native woman.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, that's poetic, right? And, you know, at the frame before the horse makes contact with someone, that's where they cut it. Like I've done video editing, right? And it's like,
well,
what
you remember the
Decepticon thing to do. Like, so you have a clip of this and you're like, yeah, that's not the important part. It's this other part of a horsey walking around that we just put in there. It's almost like they throw in your eye, like, yeah, we know. Watch this. We're just going to lie to you. It's so infuriating. And then they'll go on TV and tell you who to hate and who to be mad at because they're bad, you know?
A little bit
trust me?
Yeah, a little bit worse than that is they actually went on Twitter and said the horse was injured. It will be okay.
Yes, and people were throwing things at the horse.
Yeah, they threw a bike.
They threw a bicycle at the horse. I'm like,
yeah, but the horse is okay. It's being checked out. It's like, holy smoke.
I was like, bro, I watched it live from 3 angles. Like there was a drone, there was this guy, there was somebody over there. Like there was people everywhere. There was cameras. It was wild to me that like they chose. It's like, well, all we can do is lie, so let's do that. And they just lied, even though everything was on camera for anyone to see, and they still got away with it. Incredible.
I believe that tweet is still up too.
Yeah, that's gonna go in the Twitter Hall of Fame. Elon Musk should create that, like a specific page of like just like that did not age well, you know, like a really, you know.
No, we're getting close to the end, but can we extend a bit? I don't think anybody wants to go home yet. Do you think we extend?
Oh, I've got lots of time, man. I got nowhere to be.
Okay, cool. Because I want to get it to the POC as well. Okay, so now we have.
Come on, house arrest. Where am I going?
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we had a really high moment. Everybody's happy, and then like one of the best moments of Canada coming together. Everybody's excited, and then 2 weeks later, we're now at the worst moment in Canadian history, where we're getting beat. People are being taken out of the downtown, dropped off in the middle of nowhere. No cell phone, no gloves, and this is how they're dealing with it. Nobody's actually being charged. They're just pulling them away and dropping them off.
Yep.
Okay, so now you go home.
What is that? Is that kidnapping? So you're not arrested, I guess. What does that mean? Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, it came out during the POEC. There was some of that came out. So you weren't picked up or arrested at this point, right?
No, I stayed outside the enemy's kill zone and I observed their movements. And then a couple of days were like, well, I guess, people started kind of filtering out because it was over. Like the battle had ended, right? That was a decisive moment. And people were like, no, we got it. I'm like, dude, it's done. It's over. Hold the line. Some people want it. And I'm like, you got to understand how these things work. Like it's done. Your back's broken. All right. You got to go. You're not coming back, at least not anytime soon. All right. So let's, but we actually, Morgan and I actually went into the city and we stayed in a hotel full of cops. One of my buddies came to see us, Ed, and he's like, "You're where?" Warren Kinsella was like right next to me. And there was cops everywhere. It was amazing. And I was because find a hotel was impossible. And they're like, "Oh, these ones are all full." I was like, "Which ones are full of cops?" I was like, "This one." I'm like, "Perfect. I'm gonna see if they have any room." They're like, "Well, you can't go there." I was like, "That's the last place to look for me, is in the hotel where they're sleeping in, right?" So I just did the oldest trick. I might as well put on a fake mustache. Like, it was stupid, so dumb. I had my buddy Ed come in through the side door. I like propped open with a rock. I'm like, "Just go to the south exit." I left the door open, and he comes into the room, and we're in there typing this letter to the senators and the MPs, every MP, every senator in the whole house, every single person, telling them in a serious, the letterhead says the terrorist list of demands. So the Emergency Act is still active. This is like right in the middle of like, it's war, And I was like, okay, so it's going to the Senate to be voted on, if it's, which they stopped last minute. But right the day before, I don't think it was a result of what I did. They were ignoring me. I called offices. I left messages. I'm like, "Hey, I'm the guy you're talking about on TV. Your office, this whole terror. Oh, it's me. I'm in the city. I would like to speak. Would you like to talk to me about what's going on? Because you seem to have some crazy ideas about what's happening." No, nobody cared. But I typed this letter. I published on a website. It's been there forever, and there's copies of it all over the place. They had it at the POEC, and I was like, "Listen, this is what's actually going on, and here's who I really am, and I'm not hiding anything. They can come talk to me. Or I'm open book. Like, don't make a terrible mistake, please. This is not, this is not necessary." No one ever got back to me for that. But that's what we were doing there. Watching all these cops come and go all day long. We stayed there for like 2 or 3 days. We're in the pool. So, like, scurrying around, like, I don't think anybody saw us. It's funny, I wonder if they knew. I don't think it would have been funny.
Well, they know.
I wonder what they would have done if they'd known I was staying there. I was just so confident. I just knew. I was like, they're never going to know to look. They're not going to. No one's going to know or care or believe it. So I was like,
perfect. Yeah. And it worked.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, Steve works for the police." Like, no, I just my balls work. That's all.
No, you don't get intimidated easily at all. We know this.
Morgan's too, apparently. She was there also.
And by the way, she's welcome to join if she wants to say hi at some point.
Yeah, I sent her the link. She said she might.
Yeah, well, she pops up here. I'll throw her up on the screen.
Okay.
Okay, so then the next time we saw you is you like walked right down the hallway into the POEC, and then you sat into the chair and told your story, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a couple pieces in between that.
There was so that was probably a year later.
Didn't
almost
walk into the POEC. They had you remote in. So what happened in between the end of the convoy clear out, whatever we want to call it, the worst day of Canadian history?
Well, the police had already,
and then they start coming after you. Right, they start coming after you right away.
Right before the convoy in January, they started coming down, and they did a search and seizure of my house, and they took a bunch of my property, which was all legal, and they're like, "No, it's all illegal, terrorism," did this big mental, hysterical woman routine that they do. And I was like, whatever, like, okay, I'm just gonna get a lawyer. Like, you can't prove something that you have to prove that it's true. And I know it's true, and I know it's not true. So I'm not. And people were like, "Do you think I'm crazy? Like, if I was guilty of what they're saying, that I'm this terrorist commander and I have designs on the country and I'm going to do all of these things, and they're clearly on to me, and I'm just chilling in Canada, like doing live streams. Like, do you think I'm out of my mind? Like, I would be in Mexico or something, or it's nonsense." And I'm like, "Well, you're going to have a hard time proving this, aren't you?" And still, I don't know where the arrests are. Where are the terrorists, guys? It's been quite a while. You had to enact martial law and shut everything down because you said there's an elite, steel resolved militia of, extreme mania. They're everywhere. They're going to attack us. Where are they? You shut the country down and enacted martial law. So, results, please. Where is it? Oh, you don't care. So I guess they're still out there, aren't they? So I guess we're all still in danger. So I guess there could be an emergency tomorrow at any time.
That's right.
I guess.
That's right. Right. Who was behind it? 100%. And you were in Nova Scotia at this time?
Yeah. So that happened, and then a number of other arrests for silly reasons, and it was, once you get on the board and they're like, "Let's get them," and then there's anything they can try to, they'll go and they'll do it. It's it's such a petty, like. It is what it is, and that went on. So I've 5 cases in 3 provinces, which I've pled not guilty to all of them. I'm fighting all of them, and I'm pretty confident I'm going to be successful in all of them. So I'm not losing sleep over it.
No.
But in September they came and got me for one of these things, for a national warrant on and one of the alleged charge, you know, is assault, a common assault. So, and a 266 assault, which is the same as if I poked you or spit on your shoe. That that
it's not aggravated.
It's not aggravated. Is the reason? No, it was it was a minor. Right. So I told my lawyer about this, and he said, okay, well, you know, he's like, we'll call and we'll figure out what we're gonna have to do to, it's they're not gonna come get you, like you're not Pablo Escobar. Wrong.
Yeah.
They got a national warrant, and they got their own plane, and they took 4 RCMP officers to fly this plane and a pilot all the way to Nova Scotia, where I had been held for 6 days in solitary confinement, pick me up, put me in ankle chains, wrist chains, belly chains, fly me all the way back to Saskatchewan, put me in jail there for a week in solitary confinement, deny me bail, and say, you're staying here till trial in however many years that is. And I was like, touche. Like, well, I see the game has evolved, has it? We're doing this now. I'm getting the Pat King treatment, am I? Oh, we'll see about this. And fortunately, I was able to escape. I did get in touch with a very, very excellent couple of lawyers, and the community again was, I mean, I can't thank them enough for the help and just the more, like, the amount of letters I got alone was banana. Like, people were jealous, they were getting mad. I got in some fights over it, but I got hundreds of letters from all over the world, some of them from Greece. I'm like, there's people in Greece following me, that's crazy. So that was wild. And they told me at whatever point that was, I think it was late October, before or after Halloween, or no, it was November, sometime in November, after Remembrance Day. Because I remember I put out I was writing messages on the floor, and I gave it to Morgan or I recorded it over the phone for somebody. I was getting, info out that way to people. And they called, and I was kind of mad because I wanted to testify, and I had been contacted by the inquiry before all of this, and they said, would you be interested in I said, oh yeah. Oh yes, I am. I would love to,
Right. And, well, I was going to say, at first you weren't on the witness list, and we were wondering if you were going to be there.
And then all of a sudden they announced it. I had been talking about it for a few weeks prior. That I was like, I'm really looking forward to this inquiry. I have a feeling I'm going to get called. I will fly down there and put on my best suit. I'll stroll right in there and be like, I'm going to tell you a story. How are you ready for this? And that's not what happened.
They had other plans.
They did. Well, I don't know. It may have just been a coincidence, but because I mean, the RCMP, they're already after me, and they already had lots of motivation to, do. It's personal for them. And
there's a lot of coincidences, especially with Tamara as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of very petty, childish, pathetic, weak, simp man, behavior going on, especially with cops. It's fairly common with them, it seems like. But they, they dragged me out there and told me, on I think it was like a Sunday or a Monday, my lawyer calls and he's like, so they want you to testify on Friday. I was like, what? And I'm like, I know what they want. They want to see me all disheveled and, emaciated from prison, just pathetic and stuff. Right. So I'm like, okay. I wanted to testify, and he said, well, this is not going to be good. Probably they're going to come after you, and you might, like, we don't know. You don't want to give them something that they can then use later in a trial against you.
Right.
And could compromise your, I mean, this is going to be nationally televised. We don't know where this is going to go. There's jury trials. Like, there's a lot to think about here. So he said, you have constitutional right to say no. You have a charter protected right to say no because you have all these trials. So he's like, we're going to tell them, we're not, we're going to go that route. And I was like, okay, I understand why you want to do it. That's the smart move. That makes sense. But secretly, I was like, I hope they say no. I really hope they say no. And they did. And they said, no, the hell with his rights. You bring him in here. We're going to get him. And then all week, the media was like, the Diagolon leader of the empire is coming.
Yep.
All on the bottom ticker of the TV, all these guys are asking me, like, is this you? They're talking. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what did you do? I don't know. And they're like, that why you're here? I'm like, kind of, yeah. Like, it was there. And then I became cool. They were all into it. They're like, oh, right on, yeah, fuck the government, man. I'm like, yeah, I get it, but not the same way you, but yes, in general. Not because they caught me for selling meth to children or anything, but yeah, in a sense, yes, I agree with you, Tyrone. So they say no, and I was like, well, I guess we're gonna go to battle then, are we? And I called Morgan. I was like, send me my best suit. Send me, I'm gonna shave. I'm gonna do the whole thing. And just strolled in. Like, I didn't want to give it to him. I know what they wanted. I'm like, you're not getting it. You're not getting this beat broken. I'm going to just come get me. Let's see what you got. We were wondering,
are you going to be jumpsuited or are you going to be suited?
Yeah. Well, it would have been, but they were like, why did you get clothes? I was like, because I asked. The things they don't think of. I went up to I was like, so I got to do this. There's a cell that they do for video court for like
with the
COVID
high camera down on you.
Yeah, it was like way up here. I'm like, I thought I was looking in the camera, but I'm like down in this. I look like this tiny ant next to the. It's so dumb. I didn't know what it
That's
looked
all
like
purpose.
until after,
On purpose.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's for, court appearances and so on. And I was like, I have this, it's the National Enquirer. And they knew, like, all the guard, everyone in the jail knew who I was because it was in the newspapers every day and it was on the TV. It was all a big, so I was like, which is not good, it's not good to be a known quantity in jail, especially if you're like, oh, he's a neo-Nazi in a jail that's 98% native gang members. Like, it's perfect, yay, thank you for that. So there were some problems with that. There was some attempts and so on,
but nothing happened inside jail too. You were okay.
Well, we tried. There was I had to fight some people off a couple of times.
Oh.
Yeah, some guys tried to stab me one time. A pile of them. The 4 or 5 guys were like, "Yeah, we're just gonna murder you." I'm like, "Well, let's see the try." And I managed to escape and fight my way out of that one. And then there was a couple of times. Yeah, it was.
There was no supporters in there. Nobody that knew you from before.
No, wow. Some of the guards did, but
Okay.
not really. I mean, most of these guys are street criminals, and like they're not politically
who you
involved.
attract. Yeah,
they don't care. They're not paying attention to any of this stuff. But they read the newspaper because there's very little to do, and they watch the news because it's on every day, and there's very little to do. So they saw that. They wheeled me in there, and I was ready for anything they were going to throw. I mean, I was really in the headspace for it. I was like, let's go. And I was expecting a full barrage from every direction, and they barely threw anything at me.
That was my next point. Is now we listen to so many witnesses by this point that you come in, and we're waiting to hear what you add to this. And you paid for parking, you didn't do anything, and you weren't a leader. That's all I pulled out of there. So what did you think they pulled out of you for that?
They were trying to, because they're the only ticket they have in this whole thing is the Coots situation. That's really their only card that they have to hold up to say that could have been something. Like, that's it. Of all the reasons, like which in itself is a problem. It's like that's all it took for you to suspend civil liberties nationwide was a couple of knuckleheads that you found. That do you hear yourself? But again, that's like, I guess that's all they have to go with. And they're just trying anything, anywhere, tie something to something, make it look worse. Just make it look worse so we can get out of this. And that was their uphill climb. And it wasn't very hard. I felt like Danny DeVito in that, ever see that It's Always Sunny meme where the guy's like, he's like, climb up. Oh, gotcha. And then, oh, no, you don't. Hits him with a 2x4, knocks him back down. But I was happy I only wanted to say one thing. I remember I talked to the lawyer and he's like, what should you try and get? I was like, the only thing I need to say and I want to say is that this was the single biggest intelligence failure in national history. There's never been a more embarrassing failure of intelligence than what happened here in this specific instance with these people in this country. That's just deeply disturbing. That these people are this incompetent. They should all be fired immediately. And now you're seeing, oh yeah, we've been basically getting taken over by China for 20 years. Why are we paying these people? Why do they have jobs? Like, there's no. But anyway, I'm just glad I got that out there. And I got to take some shots at the police too, who I'm not fans of. So.
No,
are you suggesting the police would lie?
Yes, I am.
I'm not suggesting
they might plant evidence. They've done it before. Okay, I'm not stupid. All right.
Yeah. They might be stupid. I was in the room across from them the entire time. But anyways. Yeah. So now this ends. You're done there, and shortly after, your bail comes through. Wasn't too much longer after your appearance, was it?
Yeah, it's funny how that worked because I got bailed out. I was released from Saskatchewan, but I was also being held on charges in Quebec. So I stayed in jail for another 5 days after I was released because I was technically in jail in Quebec, but I was in Saskatchewan, even though.
So they're trying to extradite you to Quebec?
No, they had no intention of doing it, but they were waiting for this bail decision from the judge from earlier, and it was just she was on vacation or something, so they had to wait until this day. So it's like, you're out, but you're not out. So go back. I'm like, do you have any idea how much of a mind fuck this system is? It makes no sense. It's like, so you're out, but you're not out because and just shut up. Just eat the salad and die. Shut up. You piece of garbage. Just get back in your cage. It's it's crazy, man.
Sorry.
And it's really a man, jail is It sucks. It's not great. I don't recommend it. I'm fortunate to have the background in the up, that I did. I wouldn't want to, and it wasn't a big deal to me. I appreciate how it is, like, in the scale of, how fucked up it is of a place to find yourself. But I mean, I've been worse, so it wasn't a huge adjustment. But to go into a place like that, if you're somebody that's like, and I saw a couple, and they, I felt bad for them. Like, there was one guy who he just, he had a drunk driving charge, crashed his truck, he got pulled over, and he's in jail. And they, couldn't get a surety, bail denied, and he's just like, this guy, he worked at a bank. He's like,
it's over.
And he's in there with guys are getting face tattoos and stabbing people, and he's like, I don't want to die. And I'm like, good luck, dude. I don't know what happened to him, but he was in there for like a week before I left, and I was like, good luck.
So,
these other guys are like hardened. I was eating breakfast next to a guy who just did 10 years for murder, and he's back up on murder charges again. He's like, I didn't even do this one. I'm like,
no, I didn't do this one.
They're not going to believe you, face tattoo guy. No. He's got like kill written on his face, and he's like, I didn't even do this murder. Like,
well, they should just put a Diagolon badge on him, and then all of a sudden bring him out.
Yeah, some of them were good dudes. I mean, in a sense, as good as you could. I mean, everybody's got problems, and you don't want to judge people too much, right? But some of them were like, I felt bad for them, man. I'm just like, your life is so fucked up, and I can see why they don't care. Like, once it's so far gone, you're like, so this is what you do. You're just in jail, out of jail, sell drugs, shoot whoever. Like, he's just like, yeah. Because it's like my whole life is a train wreck. It's an irrecoverable, like, lost beyond all repair. So I'm just riding until the wheels fall off or I die. I hope I do. I really don't care. And they don't. Like, you can see it in their face. I'm like, I don't care if I die. Like, I have no reason to live. And it's just, man, like, the hopelessness of it all is like, and that's what they do instead. It was like, well, I'll just be a piece of shit until then. Like,
well,
it's a
I got to tell you,
crazy place.
Yeah, your empathy is not making you a very good terrorist here, buddy.
I'm a very good terrorist, sir. I brought this whole place down with nothing but a microphone. Wait till I get a slingshot.
From my perspective, it was a black piece of paper with a white stripe, and that was it. That was the end of the world now.
It's a canvas flag, sir. Have some respect.
And you didn't even live in the white area. You're in Nova Scotia. So how are you the king of this territory? You're in the black area. Don't worry about it.
It's a state of mind. It's a mental illness. It means that you're a far right terrorist and a crazy evil person is what it means.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And it also means to tear down the government and replace them all without an election.
Yeah.
So was Nova Scotia your next stop? So you're done with Saskatchewan, and
I'd moved back. My children live here. My family lives here. Like, I didn't really intend to be out there for that long. I kind of liked it out there.
Lockdown kept you there
at first, yeah. And I was like, and it's different. Like Western Canada. Well, you're from Saskatoon, right? So you were saying so. It's a different country compared to Eastern. And you've been in Nova Scotia as well, so you probably know what I mean. I guess you said it's been a while since
you've over. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the 90s Nova Scotia, but it's very, very, I mean, it's just like every other liberal place, that exists. It's mostly everybody's afraid of everything and retarded and woke, and it's just changed so much. But Western Canada is still not that bad, and it's still very it's more like the United States. It does feel like a different country. Like, there's a cultural shift, like, you can tell immediately as soon as you're there. Like, everybody's driving pickup trucks. There's giant Canadian flags everywhere. Everything's guns and Cabela's and John Deere, and you're like, am I in Montana? And you're like, no, but close, and like, oh, well, that's not bad. I'll take it. I'll take President's Choice, Montana, or well, I liked it. I like Saskatchewan. I like Alberta. I like the people out there. I just liked it better. It just suited me, better. And,
you have a lot of support out here. And
I liked it.
Out here.
Yeah. But again, my family and everybody's home. Yes, so it was hard to, like, I was like, dude, it was getting too crazy too. So I was like, I gotta stay home. That was before the convoy. So I came back, and then the police came after me. They had a meeting. All of the top sergeants in Nova Scotia had to have a meeting about me. I found out they had this go down to the bunker to have some kind of briefing or something. I mean, the things I read, because there's just so much of this crap to go through with the lawyer, and I'm just like, really?
Wow,
I wonder, right? What are these guys thinking when they're coming to arrest me? Like, just heart in their chest. I hope he doesn't kill me. Like, I'm like,
that's right.
I'm literally eating noodles and watching cartoons right now, dude. Like, what do you mean?
That's right. You get disclosure because they're charging you, so you get some disclosure here.
Oh yeah.
So has that been
all kinds of goodies, man? There's some fun stuff in there. I'm really looking forward to trial. I want to get it in there.
And then get it out.
Yeah.
Do you have trial dates at this point?
Well, they keep getting pushed back. I do have a couple. Yeah, they've got. one in the I don't even remember which is which because there's 5 of them, and I'm just basically the lawyer. I'm just like, tell me when to show up. That's all you got to do.
Mhm.
Tell me when I got to be, when and where, and I'll be there, like this, and then we'll just go to work or whatever it is. But I think there was supposed to be one in July. I think that might be getting pushed back. There was one in the fall. There's one in December. There might be 2 in the fall and one in, or not December, January. Yeah, I don't know. And there's,
Oh,
I
wow.
think one still doesn't have dates. It might be next summer. So there's,
If
I
you
think there's
went,
4 of them.
yeah, so make sure you keep us up to date on that. We want to keep attention on that.
As soon as I'm given the green light to say whatever, it's going to be coming out. I can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be a good day. It's kind of like Trump winning or something. We're just the floodgates will open and we'll get all the information.
There's going to be a lot of angry people, I think. And they're just like, oh, I'm going to be so happy when you go to jail. I'm just like, I hope it's not on your Christmas list.
Yeah,
I mean, you never know. They could. I mean, I'm not just like, I mean, they have what they have and they're going to try, right? And it is the government, and it is, it's not like it's, I'm not, I'm not an idiot. I'm not like, it's a piece of crap, anything like that. But I mean, again, I know I pled not guilty for a reason. So, I mean, I'm confident that it's, I don't believe that it's that corrupted and that ridiculous yet. I mean, we could get there in the future, but
I still
don't
have
think
that hope.
I've seen enough to be confident that it's still pretty. I mean, what's happened in the States has gotten really disturbing. I don't think we're that level yet, but I mean, the stakes are so much higher with what they're doing. I mean, it's not going to be. I mean, billionaires aren't going to be going to prison if I get all. You know what I mean? Like, but that could be the case if they don't deal with Trump and things like what's going on there. Like, there's all much bigger stakes there, so it's not crazy to see why there would be crazier things being done than it is here. But I don't know. I mean, again, they got to prove it. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So the next year or so, you're going to be in this limbo stage of not sure where this is. And that's
they didn't want to let me out. I was supposed to stay in there. They were really clear. They really didn't want me out of there. They tried hard to keep me in.
And house arrest literally means you can't leave that house.
Well, I can go out for certain hours. I have a curfew. They wanted like ankle bracelets and all that, but Nova Scotia doesn't do them anymore because we're broke. We don't have those, apparently. So that wasn't an option. And so they wanted to make sure I was here, far away from my children and, my support network and friends and so on, and just stuck there for as long as possible. And it's going to be until.
Your children are in Saskatchewan, or are they in?
No, they're in Nova Scotia, but they're at my house with their mother in the city, and it's a few hours, so it's kind of, they have school and stuff, so it's like drive up there and see them for an hour and a half, and then turn around, drive a few hours back, and spend $180 in gas to do it. Like, so it's
Now you still doing your show, and I can see it's getting popular.
Yeah.
Is it still growing, or what's going on with your show now?
Yeah, it goes about 2 to 3% a month, which is pretty good. Once you find an audience, I think. I'm not like a marketing guru guy or anything. I did kind of play the markets a little bit when I started getting really interested in finance and how that worked. That was part of my school. I just all of a sudden decided, hey, I mean, some people get rich doing this. Maybe I can. You can't. It's bullshit. It's so again also corrupt, and so don't even waste your time for the most part, unless it's some like a slam dunk obvious kind of thing, like buy gold coins or something. But I kind of got into that, and if you can get an audience is the hard part. And then, month over month, year over year, it's like you go every month, 2 to 3% growth. That's 20-30% a year. That's pretty good. That's really good. If that's a well-performing stock, like 30% of the year, that's pretty great. So I, and considering the content, it's not like this isn't going to appeal to that many people. First of all, they're probably going to be Canadian. They're going to have to be right wing, like seriously, pretty much, or they're going to be upset or offended or something. They're going to also have to be, up to date on a lot of different aspects and things about the way, the world, to my worldview and how the way things work. Or they're going to be like, so it's not a huge audience pool to draw from in the first place. But the amount of success that I have had doing that, I think, is probably the most than anybody else has been able to do in this country. Chris Sky's been very successful. He's not really the same kind of thing that I do, but he's done a lot, and he he deserves it because he's thrown himself out there. He's been getting chewed up and attacked. He was just arrested and charged again as well for something ridiculous.
Yeah,
right? But that's what happens.
We'll be talking to him on Friday.
Oh, great on. Yeah, and I've talked to him, and he we know each other, and he's it's like this is what he's not gonna complain and say, oh, poor me, and neither am I, because it's like this is what I expected to happen. It's like You know, it's like turning around and be like, oh, my nose is broken. It's like you're in round 8 of a fight. Yeah, probably. I mean, like, what did you think was going to happen? You know, like you're going to get punched in the face. It's like, I hope I don't get killed, but I mean, that's really all you can hope for. Like, am I going to are they going to put me in jail? They might. Are they going to take my bank? They might. Are they going to lose my job? Maybe. Yeah. Like, these are all things you're going to have to consider and go, is this something I can live with, or isn't it? Or if it, you know, I want it to be, then you're gonna have to rearrange your life into a way that, you know, you can, and it's not going to destroy you. Like, get a different job, or work for yourself, or find a different way, because like that, I just don't like that excuse that people give. It's like, oh, I could. Oh, who's this? There she
we
is.
got somebody showing up.
She stole my background.
Hi, Morgan. Sorry,
Hey,
yeah, we
Jason.
popped you in. I saw you pop up. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise, virtually.
Virtually, yep. Sorry, we were just finishing up, and I saw you pop up, and we're kind of just wrapping up at this point, because my next part for you is, in a year or so, let's say it all goes away. You're successful in all 5 of these. You beat them all. What are you doing next? What is your next step once everything's cleared away? What do you want to do?
War. I don't know. I'm going to be suing a lot of people. That's the first thing that's going to
Would you consider running at all?
No.
Nope, that's
No,
not for you.
I don't think that's not that I just view that as like it's like a broken bridge, you know. It's like when people are like, "Oh, we could take this shortcut," like, dude, the bridge is out. I've been down there. I know that. I know this. It's not been we can't get there that way. It's just not going to work. So I'm like, for a number of I mean, I could go on and on, but it's like, there's a lot of reasons why that's not going to work. And this, it just doesn't work that way anymore. It's just not an honest system, and there's too much. There's too many interested parties, and they're far too powerful, that if they don't want somebody somewhere, then those people aren't there. I mean, just get in. I'm like, yeah, like Derek Sloan, where's he now? You know, like, when they want you gone, you're gone. You go against the machine, you're out. It's just how it is. Like, they all have to toe the line, or you're done. You know, where's Randy? You know, like, all these people just got chewed up and spit out, and doesn't matter how many years of loyal service to the queen or whatever it is they're pretending to, you know, it doesn't matter. As soon as you take the wrong side on the wrong issue, you're gone. Because, you know, yeah, I mean, sometimes you can get like a Trump situation, but I'm not a super famous billionaire. You know what I mean? Who's already world famous. You know, that's a different kind of situation. But it just as a regular person trying to climb your way in there, like, you have to build your own power to like, because if somebody just comes in off the street, like, say you or Morgan or somebody gets elected to, like, whatever, say the Liberal Party seat, it's like, that's been given to you by them. They've loaned it to you. You're not, you didn't build that power. They selected you to be caretaker of it, and they can take it away anytime they want. Versus, you know, people build power in any kind of number of ways. You can do it with money. You can do it with influence. You can do it with, sometimes people can just write a book that just rocks the way. Alexander Solzhenitsyn's book has been credited with, you know, partly in the manner of destroying the Soviet Union. You know, so it's like, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat here, man.
Oh, there's an echo there. So Morgan, do you mind if I ask the Queen a few questions here? So, Morgan, so where did you meet this guy? Where did you find him?
A friend of his actually invited him. I don't know if you can hear it that well.
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah, you're good now.
My microphone has been stolen. Yeah, so a friend of Jeremy's brought him to our party barn in Cole Harbor. We were just kind of getting people together throughout the lockdowns, and just kept our barn open. We have a pool table, and it just turned into our COVID bar of sorts. So that was the first time I met Jeremy. Yes, yeah.
She's also a rebel problem child, so I immediately was interested. You also like to screw with the government, eh? Interesting. Yeah.
So you have a thing for terrorists, obviously. So you saw him, and it was like love at first sight. This guy's going to rule the world.
I paid her.
I would say my first instinct was like, this guy's trouble. I stayed away from him all night on purpose.
She did.
Okay. And then he was just kind of war on you, or?
he cornered me at the end of the night and gave me a bottle of Alberta Rebel whiskey and my first Diagolon flag.
Pretty
There
good
we go.
gifts, right?
Yeah,
Pretty good.
We're taking notes for this one. Yep.
Yeah.
No more incels. Just do this.
It was innocent. I was just like, hey, thanks for having me over, and here you go.
Mhm.
Be on a watch list.
I have
if you
the
want.
same story too, so I get it. And then
Yeah.
you said, okay, he's not so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I was I was disappointed when we went home, to say the least. And yeah, we didn't see each other again until the convoy.
Okay. So then that's when you kind of met
I
up.
guess
So just
that was only probably
so you stayed together with him when you got picked up and went to Saskatchewan then? You stayed with him the whole time?
We were arrested
no,
together
so I had
in
gone-
March.
You were arrested together in March.
Yeah. Yeah, and she said when they were considering letting us out, it was like, well, you're gonna have to go here, and she's gonna go there. And they asked her first. We had the same lawyer at the time.
So why was she
Because
arrested?
the one that I had, sorry.
Why was she arrested?
Well, we were protesting, and we're very scary. So
Yeah, of course.
criminals, they must be imprisoned, and that's coming up. And we've pled not guilty to that too. But yeah, they said. The lawyer talked to me. He's like, yeah, so we already talked to her, and they said, yeah, this was the terms or whatever. And she said, leave me in here then. I'm not leaving. I won't leave.
Oh,
If they're going to separate us, I'll just stay in jail. And I was like, well, I guess I'm staying in too. And the lawyer was like, no one has ever refused these conditions before. I couldn't believe. We're like, we're crazy. We're never leaving. And he's like, eventually they relented, but it was, I was very taken at that gesture of like, wow, she's really going to stay in jail. All right, I guess I'm staying too. Well, I mean, I have to. What am I going to leave? Could you imagine if I did? You're crazy woman. I'm going home. Have fun in jail.
right. I'd be like, damn, I am stubborn.
Yeah.
And are there any other plans? You guys engaged or anything? Or let me pry a little bit. Like, what's the plan there?
Phillip's tied our souls together in a blood bond, and neither of us can escape whether we want to or not. So it's kind of
Apparently
a dark
not.
thing, but we're
Once you go to
working with it.
jail together, you're together. I think that's the rule, isn't it?
I think so. That's hard to top.
I take the cellmate number 5782. Yeah, it's kind of permanent now.
Yeah, we were yelling at each other across and when he took us to the police station, she was further up the cage in the cells. We were like had my face down on the floor underneath the door, like yelling back and forth.
Yeah.
You got a
saying-
milkshake?
So
I didn't get a
echoing it,
milkshake.
Yeah. They get your vows and it's I do. That's a confession. Another charge. We now got you confessing.
Yeah, illegal fucking weddings and they probably.
Yeah, they'll find something. So Morgan, this has been a good ride for you so far. This is exactly what you were looking for, right?
It's been
probably a lot of fun.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But are
to
there
say
any
the
plans?
least.
You have your blood connection through Phillip.
My goal in
I'm
life
trying.
has been to never have kids, pets, or get married. So
Okay.
that leaves it's pretty easy.
So you succeeded.
Perfect.
Yeah, that works out. Cool. Now, how are you guys going to travel at all as soon as that lift is taken off? Are you going to do come see all your supporters, go across Canada, do a tour or anything like that as soon as you can? Is that on the
I
cards?
would love to. Yeah. So I have not made it past Ontario. So I have
you're
some
missing
more
a good chunk.
traveling. I know. I that's on my bucket list is to do a cross country.
I'm trying to sell her on Western Canada, but she's not budging. It's not enough water.
She just has
needs
to
the
come
water.
here. Yeah,
I know. We'll
yeah,
see.
You just have to come. You have to come, and you won't leave. You will trade water for freedom any day. Trust me.
I don't
And we
know.
do-
But
what
yeah,
do you like?
I
You like
want
to
to.
go-
I want to
you
take
want-
this and do this live and do kind of like an in-person, like little, like 2-hour, book a couple hours at something, little venues with a couple 200 people, 100 people, something like that. And just, I wanted to go to BC, start in BC and then go, west to east and travel and do like 7-8 places, drive for a few days, stop here, do a night here and I could probably stream from a laptop in between, just kind of make kind of a summer out of it or something or whatever, a couple months or something. But that is the plan someday, whenever I'm allowed to, if I'm not put to death in an electric chair.
Well, if that happens, we'll take your corpse and we'll just still do it. You're so.
No, thank you for that.
You'll be like Lincoln, and we'll take you across the country so everybody can see you once more.
Excellent.
We'll get that train for you. You guys should do that, okay? You would be able to draw people. You would be able to have some community gatherings. Come to Alberta during rodeo season. You can hit all the rodeos. There'll be no question that you will have a place to talk. People want to hear from you, and quite frankly, a lot of people want to say thank you to you, because you guys took the lightning rod. You were like the lightning rod for some of this. You took a lot of blame that didn't deserve to be there, and we appreciate that, because if it wasn't for you guys, who knows what they would have dragged out, who knows what they would have done. And because you guys were nonviolent, you were part of this group, you didn't give them what they were looking for, you saved us. I think you saved us. If there was one black eye that was on the screen, one blocked ambulance, one badge that was actually shown to do something bad, it would have been all over. So thank you for what you do with your Plaid Army. They are well disciplined. They're honorable. Clearly, well, it could have been worse.
We're honest. We're very honest. I'll say that.
It could have been a lot worse.
I think people, they get kind of a bad rap. It's just we're very honest people, and I don't think the alternative internet media is pretty new to people. So if they're not used to this, just straight up, like, this is what we're like, we're just talking like we're in our house,
right?
Like we would around anybody, and it's shocking. Like, you can't say that in public. Like, why not? Why can't I? We say, if we were sitting here in my home, you would laugh, but because these people told you to be angry, you're angry. So it's like, who's the problem here?
Well, I think they're going to be coming after us harder too, by the way. So C11 was the result of the streamers of the convoy, because those streamers really shut down that narrative on them. C11 was a result of that. You're going to see them. Oh yeah. Okay. That's why we have C11, because they wanted to be able to shut those down and they couldn't, but now they can. What are you guys going to do? Okay. Let me try and phrase this. So you're done your tour. Do you want to fade away in the background? You want to grow old on a rocking chair, or do you want to keep fighting this fight until basically the end?
Total victory, Jason.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for.
To the death. What were you not paying attention, sir?
I'm pulling it out of you at the end here just to let everybody know what your plan is. It's to keep going.
It would have to be, if I get to the point where I'm like, there's nothing for me to do, that's a great day. That's a great time. I don't want to have to, there's a million other things I could think of that I would rather do, but I can't do because this is just demands. I can't leave this alone. I can't ignore these things. It demands my attention, and it's just, I'm able to, for whatever reason, I'm able to say these things and put them in a certain way, or that it has an effect that otherwise wouldn't. Not everybody likes that. They don't like, he's so mean and he's so, like, yeah, I understand that, but it's like, sometimes you need a chainsaw. Sometimes it's just what is required. And not everybody can be, this, nice type of whatever it is you're looking for, right? Just because I don't do it the way that you would like me to, doesn't mean that we're not on the same team, or doesn't mean that I don't have, people's best interests at heart, and that I don't want good things for this place, and that we're not after the same. At the end of the day, if there was some kind of magic machine where you could test out, like, these are the really awful, evil people, I promise you, those are the ones I'm after. They're not, and that's it. And there's people that get in your way and attack you, and they want to climb on you and do what. It's like flying monkey syndrome or something. It's just, it's crazy that they don't pay attention to what the real problem is, and they'd rather waste time with silly infighting and stupid childish, petty nonsense drama. It's exhausting and very telling. As soon as I see somebody doing that, I'm like, I don't have time for this.
Have you thought about maybe turning this into like a reporter type of thing? Like, you can actually get out there and speak a lot louder, collect information, exposés. Like, where could you go with that?
It's maybe in some capacity. To some extent, I don't know how much of an appetite I have for that. Maybe if I'm in a unique position to do something, or if I'm nearby something that's happening, or it's not really my desire to do, like, just the daily grind of doing the news. That sounds horrible. So I kind of do that now, but I just steal other people's work. I just take other articles and comment on them and say either stupid they are, or how much I like them, or whatever it is, and kind of read between the lines. And I'm just kind of I'm an agitator. I'm a public commentator. I'm a guy on top of a table shaking his fist at the people with all the money. And
I think that's where there's a huge value. Yeah, there's a huge value there for you too, because you can keep informing us. You have a network of people all over the place. You can get whistleblowers. You get people giving you tips.
I've had a few. I've had
Yeah.
big ones. I had, well, I just burned, and I'm happy to do it because this guy chose a side. There was an officer at one of our elite special forces units that was taking part in a, far left-wing Trantifa political demonstration, which is forbidden.
Mhm.
You're not allowed to do that as a member of the military. While you're serving, you do not have a political opinion. You do not engage in politics. You do not, especially if you're a major or a lieutenant colonel at a special forces operations unit. That's insane. Especially if you're that guy that went out of his way to make sure other men from that unit were kicked out for that exact reason because
Right.
they expressed support for the convoy, and he made sure they were hunted down and punted. Some of these guys have world record skills, generational talents. The guy's like the world record sniper is a Canadian, not anymore. He's kicked out. His name's Dallas Alexander, and that was one of the guys that made sure he was gone. So they got a hold of me, some of his own guys, and were like, "Hey, you know who that is in the picture you just saw? No, he kind of looks. Is he a cop?" And you're like, "Keep guessing. Is he one of yours?"
Mm.
I was like, "No way." And they're like, "Here it is. Here's a picture." I was like, "What do you need?" I was like, "I need proof." And they're like, "Here's pictures. Look at his tattoos." Yeah, that is him. Fair enough. And not Epic Times, Cosmin picked it up. I sent it to a bunch of people. I'm like, "Are you aware of this? You tracking this?" And they did. And now he's all butthurt about it. And they're all cranky and mad. Like, it's like, well, you chose to put yourself on the field. Your umbrella disappeared and now you're wet. You're crying to me about it. Huh? I guess you should. That's what happens. You took a side and it's not mine, dude. So I don't have any sympathy.
Now I'm just going to ask a couple more little ones, and you can refuse these ones for sure. You have dark days.
I feel
for
like
sure.
we're on some weird dating show now. This is interesting.
It's the West. It's the West. You have dark days. We all have dark days, and I cannot imagine that this stress doesn't get to you at some points, at some times. So
I'm a paragon of stoicism, right, Morgan?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
we said, we're all honest here,
You better
right?
be real good at fixing drywall, woman. I'm just kidding.
So how do you handle those days? Do you go reclusive? Do you do your stream? Do you write? Like, how do you handle those dark days where
Sometimes.
your lawyers telling you things aren't great and you just have to deal with it?
It's just more of the general grind. I mean, you go through, it's a roller coaster of crazy. Like, there's no manual to deal with this kind of stuff. So it's like, I don't really.
I just yell at him to like take more vitamin D and go outside and work out and go see real people that aren't on the internet.
She does do that. I did that today. I was doing a terrorism camp in Truro. Okay, I was torturing a bunch of guys out and running them around and doing fun stuff, which is good. But yeah, she does, and it's person like everybody else, right? And I'm an idiot like everyone. We're all retarded, right? So
that's why I'm asking. Yeah, for sure.
But it's like it's something you deal with, and it's like we used to say stuff like I've got a lot of experience with this. Fortunately, again, it's like my background is like uniquely prepared me for this in a lot of interesting ways. Where it's like I've been mentally and physically and spiritually beaten and tested before. So this isn't the coping strategies I used then will work here, and they do.
Right.
Make sure you stay in shape and take care of yourself. Stay healthy. Stay out of the booze and the pills and the drugs, and make sure you get enough sleep. Have human connection. Make sure you get some sunlight, and these are things you need to do to stay healthy. Yeah. When you don't do them, one day you're like, man, I feel terrible, and it's like, when's the last time you exercised? 6 months ago. There's a problem. That's your first problem. That's the first problem I say to anybody. I have so much anxiety. I can't sleep. I'm depressed. I'm worried. When's the last time you exercised? Oh, I don't exercise.
There's an answer right there.
That's going to make a huge difference in your life. That should be something you do regularly, 5 days a week or 3 days a week at least. It should be doing something. Or you're going to get sick. It's like anything else. Like, oh, I only eat sugar. Like, well, then why? I don't know why I'm dying. Like, because, man, there's certain things you need to do to be okay. And that's one of them. I didn't make the rules. I just live here and I figured this out, and it's true. Right. So that's what we do. We used to say, if people are upset, it's like, go work out about it. And your problem will still be there, but you're going to be in a better headspace for it tomorrow. And mentally, you're going to be like, okay, I am still fucked, but here's how I can maybe deal with this, versus where you're just going to go spiral in a panic attack and freak out, and which is not productive at all. So yeah.
No, you mentioned you're a little bit spiritual. You take care of your spiritual side. Is there a faith side to you as well? Yeah, I mean, I've read all the books.
I mean, I was raised, I mean, I'm culturally Christian, like most of us are, because it's a Christian like that's where all our rules or crime and everything is based around, and our social norms that are being torn down. But all of the way we came up was based on, Western Christian society. So that feels like home to me because that's what I grew up with. And that's not really a spiritual thing. That's just, what I'm accustomed to culturally and so that belief system. I've read the book and everything. It's got a lot of good stuff in there. I'm just not, I don't know if it's, I can't just go all in on something like that because I feel like I'm not worthy, if that makes sense. It's like, I don't know. I'm too stupid to possibly ever know for sure. So I keep an open mind, but I'm agnostic is probably the best, where I believe in a supernatural intelligence, a creator force, a God, whatever you want to, whatever way you want to quantify that. I do believe that. And I do believe it's it's something that desires and has generated a world of there's a natural order for a reason. The closer things are to the natural order, the healthier and more beautiful they become. Like a perfectly balanced ecosystem in harmony with nature is a beautiful thing versus something that's completely disjointed and disgusting and polluted and rotten. And well, we did that, so when the further you drift away, so it's like the world is a certain way. Right. And that's the way that, that God wants you to be is the way that it was designed to be. It's like you trying to use a race car to make pancakes. You're like, this is not what it's for. This is, oh no, it is. No, it's not. Okay. So yeah, I believe that. And I think that's, and things that make, good things. So it wants you to do good things and be a good person and stand up to bad things and not look away and hide from and, shrink away from obstacles and problems because that's what we're here for. We're not here to, enjoy endless leisure time and constantly be happy and just fulfill and, one dopamine hit to the next forever. That's not what we're here for. And I meant it when I said, earlier and last night, I think I was talking about this where us right now, we're all alive. And we came from living people. Some of us, our parents are still alive, and they came from living people. We're an unbroken chain of life that goes back tens of thousands of years. And you're using this time, this small window where you're in the driver's seat to play video games and fuck around. And it's like, I mean, how do you square that? I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just rambling. So, I mean, I feel like the point is like, you're here to suffer. Like life is hard. It's a test. It's a game in a sense where, and it doesn't really contradict like the simulation theory. I mean, who says God didn't create I'm just here. That's one of my personal, if I had to guess, and I'm not saying I'm just one idiot like everybody else. I don't know who's right or who's wrong or whatever. But if I had to guess, this whole thing is just a giant filtering process. And God's there eating, watching what comes. Let's see who survives the filter, the piece of shit filter. Who comes out? Oh, you did it. Wow, I got one. Good for you. Oh, right on. Oh, you were doing good, but then you got into human trafficking. Back in you go. Try again. And we're just going to keep throwing you through this machine until you figure it out. But that's not what life is. You're not here for endless entertainment and give me things all the time. Being of service and having a purpose and striving for, ideals and trying to conquer things. And that's what life, that's where the real, sustaining, fulfilling emotions and experiences that we have that people write books about, that make statues about. Nobody's making a statue about a fucking Halo character in a video game. They make statues about people like Alexander the Great. I mean, he killed a lot of people, but you know what I mean? They're living their life and they're making things happen and they're doing like, that's inspiring. That's what we should all try to, we shouldn't all try to be conquesting warlords. It's not the point. I mean,
I like to think that we're all just kind of here to help each other through this insane life. And I find the more involved I am in other people's lives who could use help, the more fulfilled my life feels. And so that's what
doing good things like that's so we have synthetic emotion like men they've taken away the reward system of progression and like, so when a man starts building a home, there's a certain sense of satisfaction when you're beginning and you start to see progress, and then when it's done and you're like, fuck yeah, look at that. I mean, you're going to be proud of that for your whole life. And now we have achievements in video games to give you a tiny fraction of what that feels like and just keep giving you these hits of this shit. So these men are chasing nothing, and it goes nowhere. It's synthetic. It's a synthetic experience instead of the real thing that's been deprived from you. They've taken that from you and said, no, you don't want this. Here, you want this. You want this processed sugar. Right. Eat the sugar. And when I'm somebody like, no, put that down. That's bad for you. You need to do this. Don't listen to him. He's a terrorist. Oh, okay.
No, we believe that completely. If you look behind me, there's an empty ground. That's where our house is going. So
Right
we
on,
just
right.
got virgin land. We've been working this whole land,
I
and we're
would.
building.
That's something I would love to do. Yeah, if assuming we succeed in our mission of blowing up the Death Star, I would like to do something similar with that as well. But like we said with Ottawa earlier, right? Like we're going to have that for the rest of our lives, and I can think about that in detail. Like I can think about Afghanistan. I like to do certain. I have tricks to do these kinds of things where I think about the way my boots felt in my feet. The way the certain insoles of those specific boots felt, or the way that the fire selector switch on my rifle felt on my thumb, and how much the sweat coming down. And then you start to sink back into the memories, and then you start to recall things. You can do that with Ottawa, the way the gas smelled as you were hauling it up the street, or the horns and the hot or whatever it was, and you can just feel what that was. That's real life. That's something worth share and examining and building statues about, because that's something happened there. That was something real and tangible that we can all connect to, and they want to take that away from you. So it's like they're not the good guys, for so many reasons that I could talk about forever and do. But yeah, you should seek life, not this synthetic slave existence. But they've got a lot of people doing that for now.
And we definitely want to catch up with you again. Morgan, same question for you. So do you have a faith? Do you have spirituality? I know you talked about it a little bit there, but let's go ahead and get a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I grew up in a Baptist church, and
Preacher's daughter, or
no. My mother she still plays piano in the church. So when I go home to Grand Manan Island, I do go and watch her play piano with her 100-year-old pianist friend. So I love the community. I actually left the church when I was 15 because I started to realize that I didn't align with a lot of people, like Christians, I guess, who were not, I just didn't feel they were there for the right reasons, or you could hear them gossiping during church. So I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna go to work.
It's like the fake conservatives and fake Christians have a lot in common. A lot of fake Christians are fake conservatives. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Yeah, so I fell away from my faith, and I'm kind of the type of person who, like, I believed in the power of prayer and positivity, but I'll never put all my eggs in that basket either. I'm not going to be the one to tell you that God is definitely real. What do I know?
And this is his name. Yeah. And this is what he looks. This is his address, and this, like.
Yeah, and the chances that the God that I was raised believing in is everyone's God. I don't know, but I like the morals that are that I read in the Bible, and
I think we're probably both on the same page with that. Like their worldview, the Christian worldview, is good and evil, and like there is an evil and it's bad, and we're trying to preserve the good parts of the world and protect it from, and that's basically at the root of what that is. And I agree with that. I think that's real. Like I think there's a malevolent force and there's a benevolent force, and they don't like each other, and you got to pick one.
But yeah, and unfortunately, I was very disappointed in Christians during the pandemic. I thought that they would,
stand up harder.
And see through it, but unfortunately
they were fake,
and the government's so good at skewing like what is moralistic and what is right versus what God would tell you is right and moralistic, I guess.
That's a nice way to put it. And so you just love your neighbors, you want them to love you. Basically the golden rule, you kept that one, so you kept all the morals and stuff like that. You don't do any praying, and you don't go to church each week, but you definitely have it in your own way. You have your own faith in your own way. Maybe it's the Church of Phillip.
And I won't say that I never prayed. I prayed very hard when I was in jail.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I did actually. And I never ask for things. I just kept saying, I know that I'm in here for a reason. Like I just let that, like I was at peace with it. And I was like, this is a new experience. I used to sell institutional doors, and now here I am behind institutions.
Well, it's like you're following your instinct to do the right thing, and it's like I don't care if they throw me in jail. Like I'm never gonna not do that. So if this is where it got me, that's where it got me. But I don't feel bad about it. It's like it's just how it is.
Yeah, and there's no
There's
point
something you
fighting
just
it
said that
or-
I lost. Shit.
Sorry, I lost it too because I'm looking at the chat because they have one question for you that
There's
it's
something
hard to get
about-
answered.
Something about the
Do you-
religion, maybe.
Yeah,
Shoot.
not there. Got it. Got it.
I don't know. Damn it. I
Okay.
hate when that happens. That's the worst.
Yeah. It's like right at your tongue and then it's completely gone. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I wanted to just like copy paste and stay on the screen somewhere, and it's like I don't know what I lost it. Damn, I'm supposed to write things down, but I'm lazy.
But do allow me to ask that one last question, okay? I'm gonna get too much heat if I don't ask that question. You know what question I have, right?
I didn't kill him. I didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
It wasn't
Phillip
you?
did it. It was Phillip.
Yeah. No, the one question that people keep asking is about the comment on Pierre's wife. And they want to know, yeah, that's the only thing that comes up all the time. Everybody has a lot of support, but that's the one thing that I keep getting asked to ask you.
Yeah, because
I got to do my job.
because they're captured by the media apparatus,
yeah,
and they think and feel what it tells them to think and feel.
Yeah,
That's why they're upset about it.
It's time to go away with that. It's time to put that to bed. Nothing happened.
Oh, I've tried. They don't care. It doesn't matter. Just, it's like Bernier was at the WEF 15 years ago. You can explain it 100 times. They're going to say it again tomorrow. They want a reason to hate you, and that's what they're going with. And that's all it is. It wouldn't matter what it is. You kicked a dog 10 years ago. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, you're drunken and driving, which would be worse. You were whatever it is, right? And I don't have any love for these people either because they're so they've chosen this as the reason to dogpile. Okay. And it's like, okay, so you're upset because you feel that this is morally unacceptable. This was just too much, and that's just too awful. I remind you that the people you're defending in favor of this moral outrage are war criminals and murderers, and they are ignoring the death and suffering of tens of thousands of people they got rich killing.
Yes.
So again, I just want to make sure that's okay. That isn't. Are you sure? The final answer? Is this what you're going with? Are you sure you don't just want a reason? Or are you really not outraged and you just have no idea? So
anybody who knows me knows that I would not align with or be with someone who actually threatens rape.
He sent the police after me in jail. They came to interrogate me. Oh yeah, too fat, very fat. I just want to emphasize how fat they were. Plainclothes RCMP officers who were very fat. And they're like, yeah, we just want to get your side. I said, no, you don't. You want me to say something incriminating. You think I'm stupid that you can use to charge me with. Go fuck yourself. Send me back to my cell. And they did. And that was the end of that. And they'll still say, you can ask them tomorrow, oh, the investigation's ongoing. Is it? Is there an investigation? You're pathetic. You're pathetic. Why don't you investigate the fucking war crimes the Conservative Party had us doing? Huh?
That's right.
You want to hear about that? You want Mr. Morality? Huh? You want to talk about doing the right thing? You want to talk about who's responsible and who's not? How about selling weapons of war to the Saudi Arabians so they can commit genocide in Yemen? How's that fill your boots? Huh? He was in there. He voted for it.
But yeah, I see the question come up so frequently that I made a note on my phone for it with a link to Jeremy's Substack where he addresses it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
did. CBC, I did an interview. I was waiting to pick her up out of jail, actually, for she's a very big thief and she steals gasoline all the time. Thousands of dollars worth. They only caught her. Yeah. They put her in jail for 4 days because they're like, you didn't pay for $60 in gas. And she's like, what do you mean? Jail forever. Took her away. Like, you're going to have to wait for bail. And it was like, wild. So I'm waiting for her to come out. And this happens in the meantime. I'm, up in the middle of the night, pretty drunk, with a bunch of guys screwing around at 4 in the morning. There's a hurricane, right? And then I did an interview with CBC. I did an interview with Toronto Star. And there was a third one. Also, maybe Toronto, and I can't remember. None of them said a word because they're like, "Well, we want to know, what's with that." And that's exactly what I said. I said basically that you want to talk about morality. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's please do, because I'm tired of this fucking country ignoring this. You don't get to point fingers about who's a bad person and who's not when you're sitting on a pile of bones.
Amen,
Sorry,
brother.
you just don't. I didn't do those things. See, I participated in your little scheme, And I became, I wouldn't say a war criminal, but I, became aware of what I was participating in and couldn't, under any good conscience, continue doing it. Then I left the Army, and then I dedicated my life to telling the truth about these things. That's what I did. He got rich on it. And you're going to get mad at me. Yeah, please, let's hear it all day. I got all day for these people. But he said about pee-pee. Yeah, bring it. I will cut you in half.
And not only that, but you're okay. I think the worst part of that video was how inebriated you were, and you actually took accountability for that. And to me, actions speak louder than words, and you haven't drank since. Neither have I.
I've been pretty good today, little babe. I had started in the sun, and I earned it. I earned it. I almost drank my microphone.
Sorry, so there's some sobriety that happened there?
Right.
Yeah,
so
I drank in
wow.
Whenever that was, September.
That's not a very terrorist-like thing to do. You're not
I'm
the
anti-terrorist.
Very well here. Yeah.
I've been trying to get people. That's what we're doing. I've been trying to get people to get in shape, and other guys too. Ferry's been taking a big lead on that, and just like do positive things, because a lot of this, and that's what made me the terrorist in the first place. I was saying find your friends, because I was seeing the networking happening and how much joy it was bringing and light it was bringing back into people's lives that had lost it. And it's like they thank me for it, but I'm like, that's all I did was just shine a light for you to find. And they're like, I was going to kill myself because I wouldn't want to live like this anymore. And now you have a tribe of people. You're not all by yourself. It's a huge weight. I don't know where I would be without this. If it turns out like you're literally the only person in the world that thinks this way. Everyone hates you. And that's how everyone was being made to feel. And I was like, no, the hell with this. So we're doing that, and find your friends, and now that you found them, go do some things. We need to start rebuilding ourselves as people. And we need to be as robust and strong as individuals as we can, and then together as a unit to have any chance of overcoming anything they're going to throw our way, because we saw what we were made of back then when they threw that at us, and it wasn't good enough. And they ran us right over because we were weak and scared and unorganized and disoriented and confused. And they beat us. They beat us into the ground when they tried that. When as things progress forward, you're not going to get those people again. You're going to get rebuilt, mean people that know what's going on, that aren't just going to roll over. And this is one of the ways that we're doing that. So I went, we had 9 guys come out today, and we went for a little. We're like, we go to run. I'm like, a little bit. I threw up. I ran myself till I puked. I'm puking, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'll be fine in 10 minutes. Just do pull-ups until I recover." Blah. And then we went down and we, did some weightlifting and did some jujitsu stuff and some, and the guys are like, it's been forever since I've done anything like that. I'm like, yep, that's a problem. That's why we're doing it. So, me too. And since I've been I just basically ran it like a PT session I would have ran in the Army. Take your guys out and go fuck with them for an hour and a half and make them tired. Like, yep, sure, no problem. That was what I used to do. So I just did that. And, the guys are doing similar. They've got a rock climbing club out west, and Ferry's got them out boxing. He did amateur boxing for a long time. There's guys like this doing everywhere that have that to offer. It's like, I'm not I can't do this. I don't want to talk on camera. Like, I am, really in shape though, and really good at running group activities. It's perfect. People want that. That's something you can offer to people to do. Right. So just encouraging people to, be alive again is a big part of rebuilding them. So that's kind of what we've been trying to do, and hopefully we'll continue doing as we are eventually, if I'm free and we can travel.
Yeah, doing things in groups too. It just holds you accountable. It's the only way that I can work out. I force people to come to my house once a week to do yoga. It's the only time I do yoga.
At gunpoint, she'll go get them. Get up! You're coming to yoga.
I'll find you.
Yeah, she'll do it. Yeah, it's we were isolated. Like, we're not meant to live this way. People are meant to live in communities. We always have. We always had tribes, and we had like a figurehead that was like the spokesman or the chieftain or the jarl or the whatever. But we're a community-minded social species, and that's been broken down to live. And then we've all been isolated, where we've been reduced to this. We're one of these. We're just another and another click and another. It's garbage. So. It's like those people can be beaten. The people that live terminally on the phones, like they're a joke. They're just going to get rolled right over. They don't even exist. They exist on the internet. Turn the internet off, and they're gone too. So, we got to go back to rediscovering what kind of people we are and how we can navigate this going forward in a way that they can't control, and they can't. It's like, put yourself in a position where there's nothing you can do to me. You
Mhm.
know, it's like, take my bank. You already did. Yeah, I don't have a job you can take. I like what you're doing. I'm going to build my own house on my own land, and I'm going to be network with my own friends and family. And we've got our own ways to produce our own food, our own
Mhm.
our own wells, our own solar
Mhm.
power. We don't need you. So you can't bully me like you just tried to do. Like, well, we'll take all this stuff away if you don't get this special injection. Yeah,
Right.
try that again. Try that again
Yeah.
in 5 years, because it's gonna be a lot harder to do. Those people are like, I don't need anything from you. I can say no forever, and so can my children. And that provides me the security and the strength to be able to confidently say no, because I know that I have my needs looked after. And right now, if your needs are being looked after by the state, well, you know what kind of people they are. What happens when
Yep.
they decide they don't like what you're doing? They want to take them away.
Great. Or get you to do something and use that as a carrot
Yeah.
and remove it.
Yeah. You better do
They'll
this with
recruit.
your kids, or else. Yeah.
Yeah, they prove that too. Like we even homeschool. We don't even do the
Yeah,
school
I
stuff
would
either.
recommend
Nice.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up. I know that people would like to keep going, but it's getting late for you. It's going to get late for me. I'm a father. I get up early. Morgan, let's go ahead and let you close up and let us know what optimism you have for the future, the next couple of years, and a little message to Canada about this guy and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, honestly, I tell everybody this, but I think that I actually do think Chris Sky has one of the best messages in Canada, the United Non-Compliance message. If everyone could just keep that up and just stick together, that's the main thing, and do things that boost morale. Yeah, if you stick to your own, you're not, I don't know. I can't get by like that anyway. Yeah, so just stay in your groups. It's officially midnight in Nova Scotia, so I want to remind everyone that tomorrow is Father's Day. So happy
Yeah.
Father's Day to both of you and
Thank you very
everyone
much.
and all the fathers in the stream.
Oh, thank you so much. It's nice. There's a bunch of fathers in here, that's for sure. And Jeremy, you want to have any final closing statements?
Yeah, just kind of echoing what Morgan was saying. I mean, a lot of us are trying to instinctually do this, and I appreciate a lot of what Chris is doing as well. I think he's on like we're singing different songs in the same genre of music is what we're doing. He's got a lot of the same. I mean, we're on the same page. He's doing it his way. I'm doing it. He's Slipknot, and I'm whatever. It's just, you're into it or you're not, whatever. But at the very end of the day, the will to fight has to be there. If you're defeated in here, it's over. If they break your spirit, if you're finished. So that's where the whole, FYMM, stuff comes from. And that's why the community minded stuff is to keep each other going and urge, because it's like people that don't quit and just won't die, they win a lot. They often do more than they don't. And that's the only guarantee you have. There's a quote, I can't remember who said it or whatever, but it's like, if you don't fight, you're or no, what is it? If you fight, you might lose. But if you don't fight, you will lose.
Guaranteed.
And that's the best deal you're ever going to get. So I choose fight.
Thank you.
And I know how to do that. I learned how to do that the hard way through a lot of, I'd learned hard lessons, and so I'm just trying to put it to good use.
Well, we love you. You guys are doing a great job. You do inspire a lot of people. There's a lot of people that support you. I was really honored that over the last year, you let me get to kind of get into your circle. You were, you didn't make
Who
it
let
easy
you
to
in?
get-
I didn't approve this.
Phillip.
Phillip, is this you? Yeah.
Yeah. We have goats, so we have a connection. Yeah.
Strict vetting process, sir.
Very.
No
It
glasses
took a
for
while.
starters. I don't know how you got through that.
Millhouse, right?
They hate me so much. I was telling you, he stopped wearing the glasses because of the memes and the making fun of him and stuff. He's like, well, we'll try it without the glasses. And I'm like, how many heads am I occupying over there, Lanceman?
Maybe he was more worried that maybe she liked it. I don't know. Maybe she was.
Maybe.
So maybe that's why they came and saw you in jail there. But
tell us how to win, please.
Yeah. First, I will require $20 million.
Yeah. So can we count on you guys coming back again at some time in the future? Yeah, I think, sure. Morgan, we were talking about you joining the Cross Canada thing for 20 minutes. Yeah. Sounds like fun to you?
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Sure. Well, you give us a lowdown because we're not getting it from CBC or anybody else. So it'd be great to talk about that policy you were mentioning on the healthcare. I'd love to get into some of the political stuff with you as well.
Yeah, we have some key players from Nova Scotia that I would love to get on, the Foy Pop King and Queen of Nova Scotia, who have done a pile of digging. into some government data.
There's a lot of logistical legwork that goes into uncovering crucial,
Mhm.
really bombs to throw at people, and that's the kind of people it's done by. Everybody, there's like everybody can fill a role. It's everybody has a job to do. Like that was kind of the challenge in the military, was trying to see what tool you are, where you
Right.
fit. What are you? Are
Right.
you a battering ram or are you a scalpel? What can I use you for? And she's underappreciated at what Morgan's done, and a lot of what
Mhm.
she's done is similar to what I've been doing before we ever met. And I think there's a lot of people like this across the country that have put their whole soul and their life into this. It's who they are now, and it really is. I didn't intend to be. It was a hobby at first, but I woke up one day and like you said, like, what do you do? I'm like, this is what I do. I'm a
Mhm.
full-time political agitator, and this is how I feed myself, and it's what I do. It's what I think about all day. It's why I live my life. It's what I'm all the time. It's all I do. And she's the same, and there's a lot of us like this, and it's like that's just what it takes. It takes an army, and there is one. It's getting there.
Right.
There's people. Everybody's pulling their weight a little bit. If it's an ounce you can pull, that's 1 ounce I don't have to, or you or somebody else doesn't. If it's a lot, that's even better. But if everybody gets up to help push, it's many hands make light work. So I've always been trying to encourage other people to get out and do this. If you can do what I'm doing, do that. If you can do something else, do that. Then do something. There's something anybody can do. I talked to James Topp about that, and he was like, this is what I could do. I can do this, and he did that, and that was incredibly inspiring. And he led a convoy of thousands of people into Ottawa downtown to make a point, and that should be a statue.
Mhm.
That was that's one of the most. I'm so gutted I couldn't be there for that, but it was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. I was like, this is but
Well,
again, there's people
statue,
that make gargantuan efforts, Herculean efforts, and there's other people that small ones, but it all adds up to the thing, and it's a team sport, right? It's at the end of the day, we all win or we all lose. It's not it's not about anybody's Twitter profile, follower count, or whoever's getting sponsorship money, or right.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, it has to be about what's what the mission is, and once you deviate
Where
from
you
that, you're
live.
not on the team anymore.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
That's right.
We're the digital Viet Cong. I need a rice hat now to wear on the screen.
And I think that's true.
last in Vietnam eat, you arrive.
So you would encourage people to get out, get the streams going, talk to your neighbors, get something going, and just keep the conversation going. That's what you would.
Yeah, and because don't let these things die, because if we stop talking about them, they do go away. Like this NCI, like this. I was just talking to Kristen Nagel today. They had their lawsuit, destroy whatever did not have a desirable result, right? And it's like this, all these kids, like Derek had Dan Hartman on the other day, he's answers for Sean on Twitter. He was one of the first ones whose kid just suddenly died,
Yeah.
and that's everywhere. And if we don't talk about it, no one is going to. So we have to. And even if it's just as simple as something like just put up some posters or something, I don't know, like use your imagination. That's the other great thing. Or if you're like, I literally am too stupid to do, I have no idea, find someone else who is and ask them what you can do to help them then. Like there's, just think about it for me. Don't think about it too hard. People overthink things like, how do I defeat the entire global establishment it's like, how do I how do I defeat the entire Russian army? It's like, just worry about the guy in front of you right now. Okay. There's two of them. Deal with that first before you decide to go marching down to the Kremlin. Okay. Doesn't need to be too crazy. Just because that's what I did. I had no intention to be where I just wanted to make some YouTube videos and screw around and have fun with it and throw my 2 cents in. And then, it bit me. So I got mad. So I threw more in. It bit me again. So now I'm in a life and death struggle with this, whatever it is I'm spiteful and I'm petty.
No, that's cool. But that's how you get things done. And you can also get your message out. And if you're not petty, well, then who's going to compete with the government on petty?
Right.
So
yeah,
you can't let them have that monopoly too, right?
To the death. I hope that doesn't age. I hope that ages well and not.
It should be okay.
Assassinated this afternoon.
But I am going to let you now go because you guys are late and we do have to wrap up. This has been one amazing journey for me. I've been doing this for about a month and now I get to speak to Morgan. So I've been working hard at this. Oh, Jeremy, you're here too. But we got to speak to Morgan. This is the most important part of this.
I knew I'm just a lily pad. You were after
you
her.
You were just one step. You were just one
I
step.
just gatekeep around her heart. I don't let anybody near her.
No, I wanted somebody on the ground that knows how to get information, and that's her.
People are like, hey, do you think Morgan would do an interview? I'm like, you ever say her name again, I'll kill you.
Phillip wouldn't give me Morgan.
She's
so
like,
I'm
I don't
glad
know why
got
no
her.
one talks to me anymore. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But I'm genuine on that one, Morgan. I do want you to join us on that weekly thing. I do want to hear some more of your reporting. It sounds like you guys both can kind of maybe accidentally get into this whole reporting thing where you can actually start telling the truth. We can hear the messages. You got people everywhere. So this grassroots thing is real. It's totally real. And this is what they're trying to shut down. This is why they're vilifying you. This is why C11 exists. And this is why we have to keep doing it. I might get shut down tomorrow, maybe because of the stream. Who knows? But I'm going to keep coming back. Right. And you inspired me that way, Jeremy and Morgan, because both of you stood up to this. You guys took the jail. You didn't take the deals. You didn't make it easy on you.
They didn't even offer one. I was saying this last night. I was kind of disappointed. I kind of expected one, to be honest. I mean, I'm just like, I felt like at some stage there would be a knock on the cell door and they'd say, come in, there's some people here from the police or whatever. And they're like, all right, here's what's going to happen. Here's what how about, what would you say? And nothing. I'm like, am I not worth it to you?
No,
nothing. You don't even try. Wow.
No.
Wow.
They are supposed to. Clearly, they're sending you a message. This is way more than a charge. This is something different.
Oh, it's war. Yeah, they're not looking to make friends. They want me gone, and that's been made very clear. So,
yeah. Well, we have the Plaid family on this side. You guys got the Plaid Army, and we'll take care of each other. When
you're a pipeline to extremism, are you? Very good. I like what you're doing.
Apparently, maybe, I don't know. But I thank you both very much. I'm going to take one moment here to let you both know who's coming up in the next week or so. So, of course, we had Jeremy. On Monday, I'll be dealing with Maxime Bonnier. So he's got the election on Manitoba.
Oh, that'll be before or after the election, or during, I guess.
It's on the election. So the election is on Monday. So I'll be talking to him throughout that day. We're doing a full stream there. On Tuesday, the 20th, we got Randy Hilliard. Of course, you probably know who he is. Yeah,
we're not allowed to talk to each other.
No, he's told me what he can't talk about. He does have a no talk list. Yeah, it's
I'm like,
weird.
we're friends. He's just a guy I know. He's a nice guy. Like, you can't speak to him. Like,
would you like me to relay
like, what do you
to
think
him?
this is? Ghostbusters? If they cross the streams, like, what do you think is going to happen? All right, we won't talk to each other, man.
Yeah, and then Wednesday we have our cross Canada, coast to coast. There's about 20 Canadians that come on. We have 2 in each region, and they give us an update on what's going on. We have Rob Anders, we have Zach Schmidt, we have Mark Friesen. There's a whole bunch. Donald Best. Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, he's the one that educated Max on the agenda. So that'll be Wednesday. So tune in for that one. It's going to be a big special. We do this every Wednesday, and we're going to have Morgan. So Morgan's going to open the show for Nova Scotia.
Also pretty good. She's pretty good.
Yeah. And then on Thursday, we have a gentleman named Herb Powell. Well, it's not his name. That's his Twitter name. So he's out there causing a lot of ruckus and doing some stuff. And his name's Herb Powell. So if you find him, go ahead and give him a follow. And then on the 23rd, Friday, Chris Sky. So we're going to speak to him for 2 hours. So it's going to be a lot like this one, I think. We're going to get a lot of information. We're going to hear it. No filter there for sure. And he's 0 for 72 when it comes to the charges. He's beaten 72 charges right now. That gentleman.
I've only got, how many do I have?
5. You're working on 5. You haven't beat him yet.
Cases.
So.
No, I've got
no.
probably, I think somewhere in the ballpark of 30 to 40. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you're quite at 40. Yeah.
It's like a collector's set. You have to get them all. It's like
I mean, you just don't. After a while, it just loses all value, and you're just like, "How many charges do you have?" I'm like, I don't know, more than a lot and less than ideally, which is 0. It should be 0, but it's more than that, which is not. It's too much.
It's insane. It's insane. And then on Monday. Yeah, then Monday the 26th, we have Dr. Makis. So he lost his license because he's coming forward about vaccine injuries and the problems with the vaccine itself, how it's harming people, and how they knew about it ahead of time. It took them 4 months from the first vaccine to the website for vaccine injury to be up for the government. So they knew ahead of time that this was coming because they already had the tech in place for the vaccine injury website. So we'll be talking to Dr. Makis on that one. On the 27th, I have Chris Erickson. So he's all over Twitter. You may have seen him. He's out in BC. He does a lot of political stuff. He's really pushing all the right buttons, and he's really keeping them accountable. He does a lot of the Chinese stuff, and he's a really good reporter when it comes to that. So we'll be seeing him on Tuesday. The 28th is another Canada Day special, so we'll see Morgan again. And the 29th, we have a gentleman named Tom Pace. He's a friend with Jordan Peterson. It's a very intellectual one. So if you want to get really, really deep into the intellectual side of this, it's going to be on the 29th. And then on the 30th,
starts with your room. Your bloody room needs to be friggin' clean. Yeah.
Make your bed. Make your bed. And then the last one I'm going to announce is on the 30th, we have Gabriel Clark. So Gabriel Clark may not be a name you know. She's a lawyer from the U.S. who helps children transition back to heterosexual. And this is something that's illegal in Canada. So we have a bill called C4 that makes that illegal. That's called conversion therapy. You can't do that. So we'll be speaking to her at the end of Pride Month. We're going to close Pride Month off with a bunch of cold water in everybody's face to talk about.
It's Pride season, sir.
Pride season.
Show some respect. Many wars were fought for this. Okay, many.
Yeah, but the main topic here is detransitioning, how it's not supported, and how in Canada it's not even a medically thing that they do. They'll transition you, but they won't detransition you. They'll transition you, but provide no mental health care after. So we have a story from a gentleman, so it's a he, named Lois. He goes by the name of the Sterile Indian. So he came from a reserve here in Alberta, got transitioned because he watched Oprah and thought it was cool. So as soon as he could, he got transitioned, immediately regretted it, has applied for maids twice now and is still trying to get it done because he can't live this way. He calls himself the Sterile Indian because they took his testicles and never explained to him that that was permanent. He never had children, never explained the surgery, and never explained the problems that will come from it. So because of all of that, he's now applying for maids. So on the 30th, this is going to be a deep episode because the Canadian government, the Alberta government, all of them are transitioning people who have no idea what they're doing, and there's no mechanism to give them any support whatsoever. And if you try to, you can be jailed under the C4 because if they are transitioning, you can't touch it. So that'll be on the 30th.
Who is full of hate in this situation?
You're right. You're right. So our heart's broken for him because this is our government who did that. And I don't know if you guys know, but the government came out with a program for federal employees that says $75,000 to transition. $75,000 only covers surgery. So they don't have any post-care at all. They are not planning for mental health care at all. They're just giving them enough money to get the surgery, and then that's it.
Yeah, well, they market it as that is the mental health care.
Right.
They'll say, and I've heard people repeat this, is like, do you want an alive son or a dead daughter?
Exactly.
And it's like, get out of my house, witch doctor. Get out of here. They're crazy.
So you'll be seeing that on the 30th. So that'll be a deep episode. But both of you, thank you so very much. This has been our biggest episode yet, obviously. And it was a lot of fun. I was a little nervous, I'll be honest with you, because Morgan was coming on, I was a little bit nervous. Yeah. And then Phillip, well, no, it's because it's Morgan.
Did Phillip come on?
Yeah.
Phillip did come on.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. He had to stay under 2 minutes or he says the price would go up. So, I'm not that rich. I'm trying to build a house. But thank you very much for giving this little independent journalist out in Alberta some of your time. I really appreciate it. It was a wonderful 3 hours. It means a lot to me that we have this ability to do this. And after 1 month, I've had Maxime Bernier, I've had you, I've had Rob Anders. This is going good. So
there's not a lot of people willing to let us talk. You know what I mean? So it's basically it's wide open out there. So
happy.
I appreciate it, man. I had a great time. I didn't surprise it was that long. I didn't think it was 3 hours.
Yeah, we're on 3 hours and 17 minutes now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
No problem. My pleasure. And you take care, Morgan, and you take care, Jeremy.
Cheers.
And stay strong, guys.
Invincible.
Right on. Bye.
Cheers.
Folks, that was amazing. That was amazing. Look, I want to kind of give the chat a little bit of a headache. Just a little bit. Okay, please give me this. He made a joke. Can we get over it now? You just spent 3 hours and 18 minutes listening to the gentleman let it all out from his cadet days and the sea cadets like me. I was a sea cadet all the way to his future. You've heard it all. Can we let it go now, guys? If that's all you got on this guy, ain't enough. I think he's a hero. I'm going to use that word, hero. I do think he's a hero. I thought that way before I even knew him. I had people reaching out to me, and I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who Diagolon was. I didn't know who Jeremy was. And I got exposed to him because a follower said, hey, I know this guy. His name is Jeremy. There's a warrant for him. They're trying to catch him. What should he do? And I said, turn himself in, because it's just going to get worse the longer he's out. Who is this guy? And then that's when I got introduced to him. And it was very clear to me very fast. This is bullshit. What they were saying about him was bullshit. What they were talking about was bullshit. And that's exactly how I felt about it immediately after looking into it, even just a little bit. And then I saw it get worse and worse and worse all the way to the run up to the POEC. And then boom, they brought him in. The only thing they were missing was the orange jumpsuit and the shackles. But they had the top-down view. They had the perp sitting in the room. And after all that, all we got to hear was he paid for his parking. He wasn't a leader. And he threw no stones. It was all about optics. It was about to make it look like they had a reason to overreact, which they did overreact, but not based on a reason. So I am very, very impressed that Jeremy took the time. And look, I did reach out to him. I said, are there any no-goes? Okay. Because there are some guests who said, I can't talk about this subject because it's still with the courts. So I asked, and he said, no, I'm good. I'm good. And I did ask him ahead of time about the peer wife question. And he said, look, I will answer whatever you say. And if I can't, or ask, and if I can't answer it, I'll let you know, but go ahead. I didn't want to ask him because my position on it is it's just a joke. She was never once for even a microsecond in any type of danger whatsoever, ever. Not even for a microsecond. It was just a joke. Could you tell a joke? Have you ever told a bad joke? Have you ever told a funny joke? Have you ever told a misunderstood joke? It's just a joke. You can't criminalize jokes. So to the ones in there that were still pushing that, if that's the only thing that you had as a problem with him, I hope it's gone now, because you now met him. You met him. This is 3 hours and 20 minutes of his time, his night. It's midnight over there. He gave it to you. So I think we're done. Okay, guys? I think we're done with this whole, he's a horrible person because he made a joke. All right? Don't you forgive? Wouldn't you like to be forgiven for something you've done? I forgive him because there was no harm. There was no actual intent. There was no actual malice behind it. She was in zero pain. She was in zero. There was no threat. It never was an issue. So let's put that one to bed right now, okay? Stunt dummy, Mr. Green. There's 1,218 unread comments on my side. You guys are who makes this show. Yes, we can get guests like this. Yes, we can have some time like this. Yes, we can do this. But if there's nobody to spread the message to, it's just a couple guys and his wife having a chat. But with you guys here, we get to spread the message. We get to share it. And what I really enjoyed about this is I didn't hear a lot of defeat at all in him. Like, he didn't sound defeated. Every single step, every single thing they threw at him, it sounded like he found a way to overcome it. He didn't sound defeated at any stage. He came close a little bit. Like, he did talk about how, well, are they all right? Is this really what I am? But then he got out of it quickly. He has faith. He does have faith. He may be not practicing it as much, but you can tell when he was talking, he's got some faith in him, and Morgan as well. I didn't know that they were together and they got together during the COVID stuff. That was really impressive to understand that she's been with him pretty early in all of this stuff and still with him. To all the people who are annoyed with that joke, she is a standing example, a living example, a heartbeat that can testify to you of the true person he is. He's not dangerous. She's not scared. And she stuck through it, even though it was very hard, not because of his doing, but because of what was being done to him. And this was done to him, not because of something he did. So on all of that, I'm going to say to you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I do have to wrap it up. Do come back, because this show is just going to keep getting better and better. And because of people like Jeremy, we're going to be able to get more guests and get into it. I want to get a lot of the convoy people. I want to get some of the lawyers from the POEC. I want Rob Kittredge. I want these people to come on the show. So you guys being here, doing the chats, doing the subscribe, doing the likes, doing all of that will help me get all of these people here. And I'm not stopping there. I'm working on Danielle Smith. I'm working on Stephen Harper. There's a few people who I'm trying to get in front of him. You're not going to hear all people you like. You're going to hear lots of people, and that's the whole point. So I really appreciate you all being here tonight, joining me on this awesome Saturday, and Sunday for them, and the day before Father's Day. So to all of you watching, thank you very much for being here. And I want to remind everybody, God bless.